Okay. Hello? All right.
Hello.
Hello. Rick's coming. Hold on.
We open?
Yeah, here we go.
Business? All right. Here's Ray. Hey. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Right.
Test, test. Can anybody hear me?
We can.
Oh, great. Thanks.
I look wretched. Okay. Is that your headshot, Lana?
Hey, Rick, I just sent you the new invoice from the SCB, whatever.
Okay, the Studio City beautification.
Yes, so you should have it in your email, the new invoice,
Okay, great. Thank you.
as we talk. Okay, sure.
Good evening, Brian.
Good evening.
Be interesting to see actually if we get a quorum. There's been a handful of people saying they can't make it.
Are they out at Oscar parties? What's happening?
Nancy is double booked. As Bicky is running late, as he'll be at least an hour late. Jesse Porter said he was coming, but that he has to duck out early. And then I'm unsure about Adam Summer. Oh, and Nancy Kramer is also out. Did I say Nancy already? I did.
You did.
Oh, there he is. Great. Hold on one sec. We'll add some people.
Hey guys.
Hi, Adam. But we are still short a quorum.
Hi, Adam.
Hi. Sorry, I'm trying to get this video.
It's okay. So I'm all bright here, everybody. I'm all bright. Lots of. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Okay. Whatever. There it is. Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
Hi, JJ.
Hi.
Hey, JJ.
Hi.
Phone number ending in 008. I believe that's Mr. Adams, correct?
Here.
Yes, Barry?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Barry, you had your hand
Hey,
raised?
Randy. It's Barry.
Hi,
You
Barry.
need 8?
We do, I believe.
7? And does the youth member count?
Towards quorum, no. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Randy, question for you.
Yes, sir.
When did we get a youth committee? Did we vote on it? I just don't remember, or is this something Dunn gave to us?
Yes, we did, and it's actually in our bylaws as a standing committee.
Okay. I just didn't remember.
Okay, there is Mr. Porter. Good evening, Jesse. Go Cubs.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you. Go
Okay,
Cubs.
looks like we have a quorum, barely, but a quorum nonetheless. Right?
Had anyone contacted you and said that they were going to be joining the meeting?
Yes. So we don't have Nancy Kramer. Alex, as Vicky said, he's running an hour-ish late.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't heard from Mike Lazar, so I wouldn't expect anything else. Okay, well, we have a quorum. So Alexa, if you can call the roll, as it were.
Great. Let me find that. Okay. Richard Adams.
Yo.
Ryan Carroll.
Here.
Michael DeLazar. Randy.
Yes, here.
Alex.
He's running late.
Okay. Lisa.
Here.
Nancy.
Absent.
Richard Niederberg. Okay. Jesse Porter.
Here.
Rick.
Here.
Lana.
Here.
Alexa here. Adam.
Here.
We have quorum.
Great, thank you very much. And I apologize, I should have said first, the meeting's called to order at 7:04 p.m. Nice to see everyone. Agenda item number 2, approval of the March meeting minutes. Any objection? Seeing none, moving right along. President's report, just a couple quick items. One is the historical monument nomination of the Weddington golf course, or golf and tennis. The commission met and has agreed with the petitioner, Terry Austin, who actually sees present, so she may choose to use her non-agenda public comment time to mention this, but I will say that it has passed, and so at this point in time, Harvard Westlake, in terms of their development, is now on hold. Nothing can happen, as I understand it, until the commission's recommendation now goes to a full vote of the city council. So that is one development. The other development is that, as I mentioned last time regarding the park and ride on the east end of Ventura, the SCNC, along with the SCBA, the Beautification Association, the Residents Association, the Business Improvement District, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Cahuenga Pass Residents Association we had all joined together and penned a letter to Jessica Oriana. Mike DeLazar is here. He just texted me. But I don't see him. I see Allie. Maybe that's him. And we finally received a formal response to the many things we were asking. So I just want to get that out there, what officially was said by Jessica. So 1 second. Just trying to let Michael, sorry guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so the official word from, I just want to keep you up to date. Of course, I can't find it here. The short answer is, I apologize, I don't have it directly in front of me. The short answer is that they have said that trash service would now be picked up regularly at the Park and Ride. Jessica Oriano was at the land use committee again. She said it was being picked up Monday. It was not picked up Monday. Their official response to all the organizations with trash would be picked up Tuesday. I'm happy to report that trash was picked up, so that I suppose is progress. The downside, of course, is that so much garbage has accumulated that it really, it needs to be emptied a couple times over, and proof that people, if they have a trash can, will use it if it's actually empty. They have said that they would add more porta potties if they showed from their that they would track it, and if it seemed that more were necessary, they would add them. But currently, it's supposedly being serviced once a week. They said in terms of our request for a mobile shower, they said that based on the information they received from service providers, the local church, NoHo Home Alliance, and a third entity are providing showers for those that are living there. So a mobile shower was not necessary, according to Sheila Kuehl's office. And in terms of moving people, they said that they are trying to work with LA Family Housing, and that LAHSA is sending out service providers, counselors, mental health professionals, etc., to try to find a way to get these people, find them housing, shelter. The last thing, as it relates to the criminal element that has existed in that lot, the Sheila Kuehl's office said that they are aware of it, and they are working, that LAPD is working in tandem with the LA County Sheriff to assess the drug dealing that's happening in that area. Also, a couple of people both in the lot have been victimized. And so they say that that is also going to be investigated and addressed, but they didn't, Sheila Kuehl's office didn't go into any greater detail. So that's the update on that. So one, thank you to everyone who has voiced, concern and has called Sheila Kuehl's office and has called Councilman Krikorian's office. There was a notice also posted, I believe, that there was going to be a cleanup, but that has not happened, and I don't know if that is actually, that may have something to do with the injunction from Judge Carter that came out, but I will leave that to smarter heads to read up on that injunction. In the order, I haven't finished reading it. It's 110 pages, so I won't make any comments on that, but I told the LA Times has a great article on it. And with that,
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Just want to chip in. The golf and tennis, by the way, congratulations to SCRA for spearheading the drive on that, as well as the community itself. But it goes to Plum and then the city council. So there's
yes, forgive me. Yes, goes to, right. Appreciate that. Okay, so moving right along to agenda item number 4. I will get my trusty timer ready. So public comment on non-agenda items. If I can please trouble those in attendance to please raise their hand now if you're interested in making public comment on non-agenda items. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes. Public comment is now open. We will start with Barry Johnson. Your time to speak will begin once you start speaking. Go ahead, Barry.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I just was going to mention I attended an informational meeting last night for the Los Angeles County Redistricting Commission. And at this meeting, they were saying how, we have 5 districts, 10 million people. So every district would have 2 million people. And they talked about their goals being to be geographic areas that are concise and not broken up, like we are in a district now that goes over the Santa Monica Mountains. So they said everything I wanted to hear, and in my comment to them, I just said, you know, once and for all, the San Fernando Valley, which just happens to be 2 million people, needs its own supervisor. And I'm tired of being the stepchild in Studio City to a supervisor who focuses on the west side. And we need this, and I'm pushing for it. The SCRA is pushing for it. And we once and for all need one supervisor for the Valley, and hopefully we can get it. I also, by the way, heard Sheila Kuehl is not running again for re-election. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Randy? Yes, okay, I can't, all of a sudden I can't hear you guys for some reason.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, there you are. Hi, thanks. This is Terry Austin, and this is my public comment. I am not representing any group or anybody else but myself. And I just wanted to make a comment about the cultural historical monument nomination. This was something I started in 2019 after attending the first meeting by the developer for the Weddington property. I was very surprised to find out it wasn't already a historical monument, since back in 2012 it had been put on Survey LA. So I was mistaken about that. I thought because it had been put on that, it was a historical monument. So I started my research then, okay? I just want to say how really disappointed I am that as a constituent of CD2, having kept the council office informed of what I was doing, that no one contacted me from the office. I reached out to them 2 days before the first presentation, and I was told it slipped through the cracks. I'm wondering if it slipped through the cracks for them to speak to the developer. I don't know. The developer put out an email last. Everything's great. The community, cultural, historical. Are the historic parts, but let me read to you what it actually says from the staff report. While the property has experienced some alterations, they are all related to its evolution as a community golf course over time. As such, the subject property retains a high level of integrity of location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, and an association to its significance. And my application was for the entire property as a cultural historic landscape. It was accepted as such, it was voted on as such, and anything to the contrary about pieces and parcels being designated
expired.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, point of order, or actually technical detail. Her audio was cutting in and out on my phone. I only heard about half of what she said. I don't know if that's on your end, her end, or whatever, but I figured somebody needs to know. Thank you.
Richard, could you start raising your hand, please, instead of just interjecting?
Did anyone else? Did other people have trouble hearing on the board? Can I see some heads nods? So then, okay. So let me. So let's give her. Terry, you still there? I think you're unmuted still. Yes.
Yes, I'm still here. Thank you.
Yeah, let's, since I guess there were some audio issues, and I think it's important for people to hear what you have to say. Can we give you 1 minute and you'll give it a go more? Great.
Yes, hang on
Go ahead.
just a second. What I wanted to make sure everyone understands is that my nomination was for the entire property, not just the building and the putting green and the light standards. That's what the staff report strongly supported. It's in the staff report that the entire property retains high integrity, and that is what the commission voted on. It now needs to go to Plum, and we need to tell Paul Krikorian, as his deputy said, that they respect the cultural commission, that they need to back the entire findings and not bits and pieces that the developer wants. So I want everybody to understand it's for the entire property. That's what was voted on. That's what the designation is. And so we all need to reach out to Paul and let him know that we want the whole property protected. Does anybody have any questions from the board? I don't know, you can ask questions?
Yeah, not right now.
Okay. Well, please, I did this as an individual, not as a part of any group. So if you want to reach out to me privately, and email me, you're very welcome to do so. I'd be happy to fill you in.
Great, thank you. Time has
Thank you.
expired. We have public comment from Raza Lawrence. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, hi. This is attorney Raza Lawrence from the Margolin and Lawrence Law Firm, and I'm speaking on behalf of our client, Roman Radomski. He has a pending storefront cannabis application go before the city council. It's one of 38 storefront applications to go before the city council out of hundreds that were submitted in 2019. And it's at 4233 Coldwater Canyon Avenue near Ventura Boulevard. And we've been working with Councilman Krikorian's office, who's asked the owners and managers of this proposed business to make themselves available to come before this neighborhood council. And I would like to just request if we could be put on a future agenda so the owners, managers could address this group, or alternatively to meet with the land use committee if that's more appropriate. My law firm's been helping Mr. Karansky go through the licensing process to make sure he's complying with all the laws and regulations. And he already has cultivation, distribution, and manufacturing licenses in the city of LA. He's seeking to now add this storefront license. He has a labor peace agreement with the Teamsters and has hired a security consultant to plan the security. This storefront location already has the approval of the Studio City Chamber of Commerce, and it meets all the zoning requirements, no sensitive within 700 feet. So we'd just like to respectfully request if we could be placed on a future agenda, either of this council or the land use committee, so that the actual applicants could have a chance to address this group and respond to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have public comment by Matthew Wan. Go ahead. Matthew?
Hi, this is Matthew. So just, I guess this is not an agenda item, but, I just wanted to kind of echo some stuff that was said at the homelessness committee meeting earlier. I'm at the Universal City lot, and I've spoken to a bunch of residents here tonight. And, I just think in terms of the structure of the board and the committee, I think it would make a big difference if we made an effort to, or you folks made an effort to include folks that are unhoused in the decision-making process, in these meetings. Just make a commitment to bring an unhoused person into one of those meetings. If anyone wants to bottom line that, I think that would be fantastic. So, I told the residents I'd pass along some of what they wanted to suggest, warm showers, things like that, more trash pickup like there've been at other places. I know there's a little bit of dumpster and trash here, but there's just not enough, and people don't want to live in trash. So I would love to see, maybe even from our budget, a little bit of money put in there to, like they are in Venice, like they are in Hollywood, give a stipend to some unhoused folks to take charge of keeping this place clean. I think we'd involve more voices in the decision-making process and bring them into the community that way. I think it would be a great way for them to, make their voice heard and build leadership in the community, so there wouldn't be maybe some of the issues that people are talking about from negativity in the Universal City lot. So I really hope you'll, someone here, make a commitment to bring with them an unhoused person to speak at the next board meeting, the next homeless committee meeting. I'd really appreciate that.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands for public comment on non-agenda items, public comments is now closed. Moving right along to agenda item number 5, Treasurer's Report. Take it away, Rick.
All right, 3 quick motions. One is to approve the expenditure report for February. Motion 5A, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council has reviewed the monthly expenditure report for February and hereby accepts and approves the report as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's financial. Alexa, can we call the roll?
Yep.
Thank you.
Richard Adams,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes, and Adam.
Yes.
Great. 5A passes. 5B.
5B, same thing for March. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council has reviewed the monthly expenditure report for March, hereby accepts and approves this report as presented. Second.
Seconded. Okay, let's take a vote.
You clear my register real quick. Richard,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes, and Adam.
Yes.
Great. 5B passes.
All right,
5C.
5C. We've given $3,000 to the Studio City Beautification Association for work they've done on the Vineland Avenue medians. We found out that Krikorian had matching funds available, another $3,000 to help pay for the work. And this motion has been required by the city clerk's office to release that $3,000. So the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council approves $3,000 in matching funds already set aside by Councilman Krikorian's office to be paid to the Studio City Beautification Association for work done on the Vineland Avenue Medians Beautification Project. This is the balance of the $3,000 Community Improvement Project grant approved by the SCNC for the project.
Seconded.
Any board comments?
This is, Rick, this is money that we've already appropriated. So if we're just redoing what we've already done?
Yeah, it's just
I understand. It's a city.
They're sticklers, as you know.
There's something beyond sticklers, but this is a family-oriented group, so I won't get specific.
Sure, Brian
Okay.
Carroll.
Yeah, that's why I seconded it.
I just want to say I'm very excited to see this finally going through on this. It's been a long time coming.
I echo Brian's sentiment. Lana.
So I just wanted to add a little bit to Rick's explanation is that the councilman's office did put that matching money into our fund in a special tab. And thus the city clerk is requiring this second motion to release those funds because they are in our account. So we have already approved, one motion for $3,000, and now we have to have this one to get the councilman's money out of the special tab. So this is just a little cleanup, but we wanted to make sure, that the paperwork was in order. And so there, in case anybody cares to know there. Thanks.
Great. Seeing no other hands, let's take a vote, please.
Richard,
If you called my name, yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes, and Adam.
Yes.
Great. Motion 5C passes. I just want to pause. Let's see if she's still on. Patty Kirby, who was lower on the list, had her hand up. She's taking it down. Let me see. Patty, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, did you still have something you'd like to say? I apologize for missing you during the public comment.
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
I just wanted to say, because her internet was cut off, does people realize that the developer sent an email out to the public saying that the vote was for just the clubhouse, the putting green, and the golf ball lights? And also, and it is not, it's for the entire property. And also that I wanted to say we have over 10,000 signatures in support of the historical, and we need Councilman Krikorian's office to back us up, as Caro said at the end of the meeting, that he support the historical commission's vote for the entire property. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Patty. Okay, moving right along, we have comments, agenda item number 6, comments by government officials. Jessica Fugate is not here. She sends her regards. I do know, however, we have a group from LAUSD joining us tonight. And so we are excited to have you here, Marissa, and I believe there's a few, yes, Raphael as well, and I believe Brenda. Is that correct, Marissa? So if you, Marissa, please go ahead. You're muted currently. Or Raphael, whoever's going to be speaking.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. Marissa will start us off. And I think she was muted. I'm hoping we're able to share. Should we have a little presentation? Is that possible?
Yes, sir, please. Thank you. If I can.
Yeah, give it a go and
share
try it
my
now.
screen, Mr. President.
Yep, go ahead and try. There you go.
And, Mr. President, we also have Maria Nichols. If you could make her a panelist. I believe she raised up her hand.
Yes, sure, go ahead. I will do that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good evening, Studio City Neighborhood Council. We are the North Hollywood Valley Village Community of Schools. We represent the North Hollywood Complex and the East Valley Complex. Our administrator is Maria Nichols. Our director, Dr. Rafael Gaeta, and I am Marisa Tendall, the Parent Education Support Assistant. We identify as the 21 Bold and Strong Leaders, and our motto is connecting communities through communication, collaboration, and coordinated supports. The schools in the neighborhood, LAUSD, Carpenter Community Charter, Rio Vista Elementary School, Reed Middle School, and Carlson Home Hospital. And now, without further ado, I present our wonderful Administrator of Schools, Maria Nichols. Maria?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for allowing us to present to you this evening. And I want to first off thank you for all that you do for our school communities. We have been attending your monthly meetings, and we know that you are an integral part of what happens in our Studio City area. So thank you for all that you do and for the time that you invest in supporting our communities. So I am the proud Community of Schools Administrator. I have a wonderful superintendent, Mr. Andres Chait at Local District Northeast that supports us. As I've shared with you in the past, this is a new structuring system that we have where our local district or our larger district has broken into small learning communities, if you will. And in local district Northeast, there are 6 communities of schools, but obviously we are the best in the West. And I say that because my folks and my principals give above and beyond customer service and support. And we also work very closely with our board member, District 3, Mr. Schmierson. And I know that in the past, he has presented here with you, as well as providing you updates, especially with returning to school and all the planning that went into that to ensure that we had safety protocols in place and to ensure that we were following all health and safety guidelines and the science. So today, or last week, was a magical day because we opened up our first school, Sendak Elementary School in the North Hollywood area. And we welcome back our students from pre-K through 5th grade. 80% of what our principals have done the last months has been planning, and more planning. The logistics and the organizational management that needed to take place in order to ensure a safe school is extraordinary. And 8, 10, 12-hour days in addition to weekends were what they did. And also our teacher partners, our labor union UTLA teacher partners also did their part in ensuring that their classrooms were set up and that appropriate measures were taken. I was at Munlux during the week with Dr. Gaeta, and we supervised and noted and noticed the logistics of how things were working out, because one thing is you plan, and then the other reality is you need to execute and implement. And we had many lessons learned and changes that could refine the process. And so we were very instrumental in sharing that with the rest of our elementary schools, which opened this week. We welcomed our students back. I must say that it has been a smooth opening with some minor edits here and there. Our parents have supported the transition. Our teachers have prepared our students to returning to school a couple of weeks before. We were providing lessons of safety and protocols. And Sendak opened up, one of our first early start schools. And again, many lessons learned there. Next slide, please. And so what worked, I think, in our school reopening was the phasing in. As you know, we are a massive district, the 2nd largest school district in the United States. And so the way we brought students back to ensure small numbers of students, cohorting and all that, was to bring them back by grade levels. And so we opened up on the 13th, welcoming kinder and grade 1, as we did this April 20th as well, with the rest of the schools. And then on the 14th last week, 2nd and 3rd graders came in from in a different gate. So we were already separating students, as we did April 21st. And this, as a matter of fact, I was at Colfax and Carpenter, where they had an 85% return rate and things went very smoothly. And tomorrow, we welcome back our 4th and 5th graders. And so we are excited walking into a school where there are students and they're so joyful, and the teachers are excited to finally meet their kids, is nothing short of magical after a year plus of school closures. And so next slide, please. And so at this point, one of the things, I think I shared this before, one of our biggest priorities, and our superintendent, Mr. Buettner's priority, was to ensure that our students had nutritious meals. We know that during the pandemic, our communities were really hurt and hit hard, some of our communities. And so we had what we called grab and go sites. And you can see there that some of the sites in our area, closest to our area, was East Valley High School. And so those sites are going to be closed because now we are going to be feeding our students at the schools. Students who come during our hybrid 3-hour on-site instruction will be going home with a meal. They will be taking a supper, and they will be taking a dinner home, and they will be eating lunch at school if they stay in LA's Best or the after school programs that we offer. If not, they will be also taking lunch home. So we want to ensure that our students are nutritiously sound, because we know that that has a major impact on learning and on just having a well-rounded self-care. And we're doing the same thing with our secondary students as they are coming back next week, to ensure that they are also eating and having breakfast, supper, and a meal to take home. Next slide, please. And so one of the other priorities we had was ensuring safety of students and understanding that our parents do work. We knew that we were going into a hybrid program because we weren't quite ready to bring all students back. And so we have the Beyond the Bell program for school supervision or childcare. We have, again, an AM cohort where students in elementary school come between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11. And then we have a PM cohort between 12 and 3. Those students that need childcare, we are offering childcare to all students K-8 in the morning. And then we are also offering childcare in the PM for the AM cohort students. And so even for secondary students that are coming back, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they have a different schedule where they're coming back on different days. But on the days that they are not at school, the Beyond the Bell program will be available for them to be able to go do their remote work and be supervised. Next slide, please. Transportation is also a service that we offer, and transportation is offered to students who qualify for the service per their special education program in their individual educational program plan, and also for students that are in magnet programs, specialized magnet. So those students are being picked up. My partner, Dr. Gaeta, will talk to you a little bit about the screening process prior to students coming in on site to school, and also from the bus. And we do have many of our special education services that are going to continue to be remote, or there will be opportunity, if all parties agree, that we will be able to have some of our IEPs on site. It's going to be dependent on the situation and the needs of the student. Next slide, please. Something that's exciting and is coming our way very soon is summer school. We are going to be offering summer school for all students. For our older students, this is an opportunity to make up credits, credit recovery for graduation. So that is a huge emphasis. For our middle and elementary students, it's going to be about engagement, enrichment, and language, and also mathematics. And so applications are forthcoming. And once they come, we will share them with you so that you might help us advertise and get the word out through your communications as well. And now I have the pleasure of introducing my partner in crime, Dr. Rafael Gaeta, my lead director for our community of schools.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And President, I see a hand up. Do we answer questions, or how does that work?
Sure. The hand up is actually for a board member. Richard Adams, did you have your hand up because you had a specific question for?
It was Alex.
Our LAUSD
My hand
folks?
was probably up from some previous issue, or just to let you know I was here. I have no questions or comments at this time.
Great, thanks, Richard.
All right. So good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about our return to campus, especially regarding the testing that needs to take place before our kiddos return. So this right here is our return to campus family guide with all the information about what will be happening if our families decide to return in the hybrid model. Next slide, please. Something that it needs to happen before our students return is to make sure they get tested. And also, if you search online, every school has a school health and safety readiness report card that really talks about all the efforts we have made to make sure that our schools are ready to welcome our students back. Next slide, please. Also, whenever students come on campus, even, or visitors, even us as well, Maria, Marissa, myself, we have to do a daily pass to make sure that we've had a negative test on file, and our temperature is taken. So if our families don't take the test on campus at an LAUSD campus, they are also able to bring in proof from a private agency. They will also be taken, their temperature will be taken, and these questions will be asked, and they will be welcome. But again, everyone needs to make sure that they have a test on file, a negative test on file. Next slide, please. So this is how the Daily Pass works. This is a website where you get it. Next slide. And I know, President, I have about less than a minute, correct?
Yes.
And then we have the temperature check, always making sure it's a non-contact thermometer. Next slide, please. Again, also for visitors, so we all get checked when everyone comes in. Next slide, please. And then also making sure that all students, all staff, everyone who comes on campus, there's a mandate for masks. We ask our kiddos to make sure that they are standing 6 feet between each other. Classrooms are also set up in the same way. And we are asking our kiddos to wash their hands as often as possible. And we give them those opportunities while they're there. And again, let's go ahead to the last slide so you guys could see our info. And thank you. I know our time is up. So Marissa, I think, did we?
Yes, I think we can take questions.
Sure. I see a hand up from Alex. Alex, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. You know, I was listening to Maria's presentation. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
And you know, I'm a product of LA Unified, and what's interesting to me is that LA Unified is doing literally now everything for children, including giving them all the meals that they desire, transporting them back and forth to school. My only concern is that even though it sounds very altruistic and good that you're doing this, Maria, at what point do you necessitate that the parents get involved with their children's necessities instead of LA Unified replacing and effectively replacing the parent? And I could maybe see that eventually you'll start housing the kids too, I would think. So to me, it's troubling that you, LA Unified, would put a wedge between family and provide all of these needs so the family's effectively no longer needed. And even though you guys feel you're doing this very effectively, we are still, as LA Unified, in the lower 50 percentile in all of the school districts in California as far as proficiency. So when will you guys start prioritizing getting our kids to be effective, learning effectively so they can be prepared for the future instead of providing a lot of these things, which obviously is coming out of the budget, which you would think that a family would also be able to try and provide? And I don't need you to give me a long filibuster answer. It's a simple question. Why are you guys doing everything except effectively teaching our kids right now?
So I'm going to respectfully differ with you as far as it's a simple question, because it's not. And I think your question really I would welcome to provide a presentation at the next Studio City Council so that you have an understanding of the diversity and the vast different needs of students that we serve.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
So one of the things though that I can answer to you is that transportation, as I said in my presentation, is offered to students with individual educational programs, that's special education students. And those students are made eligible through the process of an
That's
IEP.
okay. It's always been a school bus, but I'm talking about meals and
Yes, but sir, with all due respect, you did mention
Yeah.
transportation. So we're not transporting all students. And then also specialized magnet programs, and that's a few and very few because we are no longer actually transporting kids that are in the magnet program.
school buses have always existed, Maria. You
We
can
need
get on.
to- Alex,
But sir, with all due
can you let
respect,
her answer-
school
can you let
buses
her answer the
exist.
question?
Answer the
Yes,
question.
school buses exist, but we're not transporting 600,000 students, who is who we serve in the district. Now,
I'm
with
not talking about that, Maria.
Alex, guys, respectfully, Alex, if you laid out your question, if
Yeah,
you
with
can just
no
give a
answer as
courtesy-
usual. Thank you,
a
guys.
courtesy to our guests to answer
Thank
the question how they choose, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
any of LAUSD would happily speak to you further offline. And I'm
graduating
happy to put you on the
illiterate.
agenda for. I'm happy to put you on the agenda next month.
Our kids have graduate illiterate.
So,
Can I
Randy,
please hear-
thank you so much. First of all, Alex, I didn't come here to be disrespected, and I would
not disrespecting, I'm just talking.
Sir,
I'm a
you are.
stakeholder.
Randy, I would hope that you have some norms and expectations as to how you treat your guests, because I imagine, like I would, that you have great pride in your Studio City Neighborhood Council and community. And so I feel disrespected with the way that you are approaching me. I will present your question in a very formal manner. If we, excuse me, I am not done speaking. If you invite us, Randy, I would present a presentation of why we're feeding students and who we serve. I am not, though, going to come to your home to be disrespected, because I would not treat any guest of mine in the manner that you are treating me, sir, nor would I expect any of my workers to be treated and spoken to the way that you are speaking to me. So I thank the rest of the Studio City Council. And Randy, if you would like more information regarding the particular meal program and why we feed students, please invite us back. We'll be more than happy to present to you.
May I be heard, please?
Thank you so much.
Yes, one
Randy,
moment,
may I be
Richard.
heard?
Richard Niederberg, 1 second. Yes, Maria, I appreciate the presentation. I appreciate the work of LAUSD. It is not an easy task, and unfortunately sometimes I think that tough questions get asked, and people aren't always open to hearing the answers to the questions that they ask. I would happily welcome you back if you would like to come and give a presentation. I think, I respect my fellow board member in what he's
Thank you.
trying to get to, and the questions asked. And I think it's with a lot of passion, but at the same time, I do agree with you that any guest that comes before our board needs to be given the opportunity to answer a question however they choose to answer it. And so I would happily welcome you all back. And I can say, for speaking for a number of people that I know that are in LAUSD, they are extremely excited to have their kids back in school, because our economy is only open when parents are able to get their kids in school and go back to work. So I appreciate that. With that, thank you very much. Richard Niederberg, you had something?
Yes, one question, and that is this. Will you be asking for any money or other resources to make the program happening? And I'm wondering if you really should go to our budget committee if it's a money request or something of that. Thank you.
So our intent in coming to share and partner with you is not to ask you for money. Our intent is to really become one to get to know us collectively so that we can work together. I know one of the greatest needs in our communities there in the North Hollywood Valley Village is the homelessness. My hope is that we would be able to partner and come up with opportunities and events for solutions. We don't need any money. That isn't our intent, although I really thank you for providing us with that avenue. But it is more to work in the community, with you. And again, this is a new structure for Los Angeles Unified. And we are in the North Valley. We are located on Lancashire, which is the heart of North Hollywood. And so that really is our intent this year, is just to meet with all the neighborhood councils. We do have 5 of them, and get to know one another and build relationships so that we can come together in force to really service our communities. And that's what we're about.
Okay, I'm just wondering, because you didn't mention the hospital school on the Rio Vista campus.
Yes, and that Carlson Homeschool is a unique school that services all of Los Angeles Unified School District students that are very, very health fragile, if you will. And there's a homeschooling opportunity for those kids to receive services at home or in hospital. So that in itself,
I think we know that, yeah.
Program, yes.
I think the neighborhood council knows that very well, because we check on these things.
Oh, that's
And we
wonderful. That's wonderful. And you know, if you're interested in Carlson, I would be more than happy to invite our principal, Miss Margaret. She's fabulous, and she might need some resources at her school site. That might be a question that we could ask.
We already help out Rio Vista, and probably will do it again. I was just trying to be more inclusive. That's all.
That's very appreciated. That's very, very much appreciated. And certainly we can entertain conversations as to how we could help our other schools as well.
Yeah, well, Carpenter really needs it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Carroll.
Martinez.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for coming. I don't have a child myself, but I am a product of public schools. And so certainly our public goods are, and what you guys are doing with that is phenomenal, I think. And certainly not everyone, I want to make it clear that not everyone on the board just wants to stick it to public schools. So thank you for coming here. I would second you coming back and explaining the school meals and the travel. Not because I want to nitpick it, but just because I just like hearing that kind of stuff in innovative ways that school systems can help out, children, especially during these times. So I hope you do come back, and I love public school.
Thank you. Thank you. And I am a product of public school. I went to Selma Avenue, I went to Bancroft, and I'm a proud graduate of Fairfax High School. So I agree with you. Public education has done some extraordinary things. So thank you so much for acknowledging that.
Thank you very much for coming. I wish you all a great rest of your evening. We will move right along.
Thank you.
Well, actually, if you don't mind holding on for 1 second, there's a couple, looks like public comment questions. So let me just grab those real quick for you. Rudy Melendez, go ahead.
Thank you, Randy. Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Nichols. I think you're witnessing the community's frustration with LAUSD, school closures, the teachers union co-opting and holding parents and children hostage in this past year. So, appreciate your hanging on and taking some heavy, hard questions, but people are angry right now with what's going on with public schools. I'm also a proud public school graduate. But when I went to school, schools were a lot better. I think that's fair to say. LAUSD is too big. And you might keep in mind that we all just witnessed a very disrespectful LAUSD board meeting that was highly publicized with the board members eating and showing disrespect to parents. So just keep that in mind. Don't get defensive. We're angry with what's going on, but thank you for being here.
Yes, and so I want to say to you that I am not taking anything defensively, sir. And I'm here as the representative of the community of schools for the North Hollywood Valley Village, which really is our partnering with you, the Studio City Council. Whatever happened in the LAUSD board member with the parents, I did not witness. I have not watched that meeting. I usually watch them on Sundays because during the day, we do have 21 schools that we serve. And we are on site with our schools. We visit 2, 3, 4 schools a day. Maybe part of the understanding of what our role is as a community of school would be something too that would be of importance to you, because Rafael and I are on-site administrators and we work at schools. So it's unfortunate that as adults, we can't have respectful conversations, but that also is mirroring what's happening in our political world and our arena. But what I come to you to say is that I believe that change happens in small ways. And we have an opportunity together collectively in this structure with the Studio City neighborhood councils and all the other councils to actually do something to affect our community in a positive manner. So that's what we're about. And that's what I'm about as the leader of that community of schools, and looking for opportunities for partnering and providing resources to our schools. And those resources come in many different ways. And so I could get into the diversity even of our community of schools, but that is not the intent of today's presentation. The intent of today's presentation was really to share with you the steps that we have taken to have a safe return. Now, I understand, Rudy, people are upset and feel that we took too long to open, but I will say to you that we opened and we have the highest safety measures, and we are now one week in, and we are experiencing positive cases of COVID in our school sites.
Yes, you did.
So
yes,
so
you
we
did.
have.
OMG, it's been a long day.
So thank you so very much, Randy and your team, for having us today. And I wish you all a very
will
good
be in
night.
the office tomorrow.
Thank you.
So
Thank
we
you,
can get
sir.
this all squared
Thank you very
away.
much.
But I believe Morgan is getting a guarantor, period.
We have one second. We have a public comment from Erica Fox. Please go ahead.
My name is Erica Fox, and I went to public school for grammar school. I went to Garden Street Elementary with Michael Jackson, I might say. Anyway, I think it's really important that when you're running these meetings, you mute your board members who are so rude. LAUSD, you cannot pick on LAUSD for taking care of the citizens of LA. You know, children are poor and they come from poor families, and you do not get to say that LAUSD is doing anything bad and that they're taking away people's children and that people have to support themselves. Yet at the same time, you see that there's homelessness. We had a pandemic. You know, you should get rid of this Alex guy because he's very nasty. I don't know who he is or who voted for him, but I think we need to make sure he gets unelected. Anyway, both of my children went to public school all the way through. One went to Carpenter, one went to Carpenter for a year and a half, and then she went to Rio Vista because it was just a better school. Anyway, I think that LAUSD has done a magnificent job during this time. I am so proud of them that they feed everybody and that they figured out a way to teach people during this, that they give tests to everybody, that they want to give vaccines. This is a community. LA might be a big city, but LAUSD tries to take care of their community. And I think they should be commended instead of being yelled at and disrespected. And you know, the other reason that LAUSD has problems, because nobody wants to pay property taxes, and Prop 13 passed. When I was a kid, California had the best schools in the country. And because people voted with that stupid Howard Jarvis to cut property taxes, our schools suffer. So if you want to pay money to make it, yeah, I see you with your fucking watch, buddy. Anyway, that's what I want to say.
Point of order, Mr. President. Is it Studio City Neighborhood Council policy for our board members to tell a government official or our guest to shut up, muted or not?
No, I would actually, Brian, submit to you that is a violation of a code of conduct as board members.
I just want that on the record.
The code of conduct is unconstitutional. Violation of the First Amendment.
Thank you very much, Richard Adams, but you're out of order. We have another comment by Terry Austin. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just also want to commend Ms. Nichols for her presentation and apologize for any lack of courtesy. Geez, Alex feeding kids, you got a problem with that? Okay. I do want to point out that during the pandemic in February of this year at the National Science Bowl, our local North Hollywood High School took home the first place trophy in the 29th annual Science Bowl recreational competition held by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. It is the 22nd time out of 24 years that the high school has done so. So I think that they're doing a good job. It is an incredibly difficult job to work with kids. It's not you're just working with kids, you're working with their parents and their community. And so, Ms. Nichols, not all of us feel the way that you were treated was fair or nice or kind. And I apologize on behalf of my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. That's very appreciated. And yes, we have so many wonderful things going on. And again, I would welcome a time to come and celebrate all the wonderful things our schools are doing, because there's a lot of fabulous academic outcomes going on. And we have in our area probably the most California distinguished schools in all of LAUSD. And I would be happy to share that with you, because there's a lot to celebrate. We get negative press because that's what people see on TV. But I can tell you, I have served this district for 35 years, and I am a proud servant of this district. And we do what no other district does. Alex, yes, we do feed our kids, and we also educate them, and we send them to college, and we help our parents, and we give wraparound supports of whatever needs to be done, whatever it takes. That's what we're about.
Great, that's good, Maria. I think I have a right to at least respond. So I'm not attacking you, Maria. I'm talking about the policies of LA Unified.
Told her
So
to
please
shut
don't
up.
take
You
whatever I
attacked
say.
her directly.
What's
Okay,
that?
let's.
You attacked
Can
her
we,
directly. You told her to
guys-
shut up. You would not tell the LAUSD to shut up, because that's not how it works.
Who said shut up? I never
You
said
did.
shut up. I never said shut up.
You were unmuted. You didn't realize you were unmuted. because you didn't have a call.
Yes, can we listen? As I said
Listen,
before,
look, Brian, I don't need you to lecture me on how to talk.
Sure you don't.
okay, can we just please try to get back on track
Well, the
here?
bottom
So
line is
Alex, if you can
What?
just finish your comment
If
respectfully.
anyone
There are
wants to
other
know
public
what I
comments
talk
on the LAUSD.
So the bottom line is that no one's attacking you personally, Maria. So please don't take that the wrong way. The only thing I was saying is that I believe that we should be focusing LA Unified's policies rather than giving 3 square meals. I believe you have to feed children. I was fed when I went to LA Unified. It's a normal thing. I'm just wondering is that if our funding should be better utilized to get their credit, their scores higher. So there is a great program going on in LAUSD, but at the end of the day, the kids graduate and they're on their own. And I don't think LAUSD is going to be part of their future. So what I'm saying is that maybe we could divert some of those funds to make sure that they are prepared to carry on and get a good job and good wages.
Then
Thank
stick
you.
with that and make sure you're muted
Right.
from now on.
Great, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Brian. If we can go to a stick,
If I just may say one last thing, I just want to be clear that I in no way feel in any way, shape, or form that you are attacking me personally. So I want to just put that in the record. I do not feel attacked. So I just want to clarify that, Alex, because to me, you telling me that I'm being oversensitive or that you're attacking me is really insulting.
Well,
I do
then
not
don't-
feel,
then-
excuse me,
then
you-
don't refer
and
to
you,
me.
and you again go
Guys,
back to talking over my words.
Refer to
So
the
for the record, I am here.
Hold on, sorry, the joys of Zoom muting everyone. I think that, forgive me if that upsets anyone using a presidential discretion in the joys of technology. Look, I'm going to echo to an extent what Rudy Melendez said, that there's a lot of impassioned feelings about LAUSD and whether they are right and whether they're wrong, whether they're doing too much in one area and not enough in another. These are all some of them are, I think many of them are fair questions to ask, but I agree with you, Maria and Raphael and Marissa, and I actually saw, I think Tammy as well jumped on from LAUSD. And also know Justin being the president of the SCNC and Brian Carroll as the past president also speaks to this. Sometimes it feels like a thankless job because you're doing the best you can and people are nevertheless frustrated with the system in which we operate. But my hope is that we can continue to be respectful to one another I appreciate Alex clarifying his point that his frustration is not directed at personally, but it's really at clarifying his statement that it has to do with. Look, I think he is frankly echoing sentiments of elements of the community, not just within Studio City, I think LA broadly. And Maria, I also hear exactly what you're saying about being interrupted and disrespected in the sense of like, if someone asks you a question, they should give you the courtesy to let you answer regardless of whether they like your answer or not. And with that, Maria, I would love to have you come back and present on if you, as you've said you would, and other people have said, we'd love to see what you're doing, why you're doing, what's the impact. I'm sure there are financial numbers tied to that, which I know that I believe, and I'm pretty sure I know that Alex would also want to see the underpinnings of what are you spending on these things, and what are the brass tacks of what's happening in our local districts for our community, and more importantly, I think our stakeholders would want to know that. So I will take you up on your offer for the next agenda, and I'm happy to connect offline to discuss it further and how much time you think is appropriate and what our agenda looks like, etc. So I'll be in touch with, I think, you, Marissa, as my guest. There were a couple public comments that were outstanding that I do want to get to, because I think first and foremost, our job as the SCNC is to hear from our stakeholders, because our job is to be an advocate for them. All of those hands have since gone down. So if there are a couple hands that were up before, if you could please raise them now, so we can get your comments into LAUSD, and if there's or a question. And then if there are I'm currently seeing no hands from stakeholders. We will, okay, Terry Austin, I think you already spoke on this issue. If there was anyone else, Barry, John, I see no hands. Oh, there, Jeff. Oh, Jeff, your hand went away. So Barry, go ahead. Barry? Barry? Go ahead, Barry.
You can hear
2
me
minutes.
now?
Yep, go ahead.
I
2 minutes.
proudly went to Rio Vista, Walter Reed, and North Hollywood High School. I would like to point out, though, that in the 70s, there were many homeowners that were almost property taxed out of their homes. There were people in the mid 70s that even had to sell their homes because the property taxes were out of control. So I think Prop 13 was a good thing. I think it made government think about their spending at a time they needed to think about it. And the schools didn't do so bad because the California lottery was created not long after 13 passed in 78. And that took up a lot of the funding. So the schools got some of their funding back. But it never hurts to have spenders kind of be made to be thoughtful about how they're spending when they were in the routine of spending a lot and taxing people out of their homes. Thank you.
Thanks. There's a public comment. Oh, that hand just went down. So let's see. Mr. Adams, you had a comment? Richard? Richard, go ahead. You should be able to unmute.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I try to bring a little calm to the world by yelling at ease. It's an old RV habit. Anyway, Barry, the lottery was a great idea in theory. What happened was we passed the lottery, and for every dollar the lottery put into the schools, the state legislature said, oh, that's one less dollar we have to apply from the general fund to the schools. So it turned out to be revenue neutral. And if anybody wants to know, I'm a product of both public and private schools and a condemnation of both, for those of you that love me so much. That's all.
Great, thanks. Jeff, go ahead.
Hi, it's actually Adele. It's my
Hi,
husband, Zoom. My son went to Carpenter. He went to Walter Reed, and I pulled him out of Walter Reed because the kids were kind of mean to him. Put him in a private school for a year. Then he got accepted to a bunch of private schools, but we went to North Hollywood, and he said, "Mom, this is where I want to go." And it was the environmental studies program. And he got a really good education, and Oberlin in Ohio recruited him to go to school there. He ended up going to law school at Brooklyn, and he's now working for Paul Weiss as a bankruptcy lawyer. He is making more money than most people from Harvard Westlake will ever make. And he is successful. And it was because he loved education. He loved, and the teacher, Randy Vale, he gave him the love of that. And that was just what it was. And it was, I wanted him to be not a private school kid. I wanted him to be a well-rounded person. And that is what LAUSD gave him. And in those days, we started the lunch program where we gave salad bars for lunch at LAUSD at North Hollywood. And there is a lot of really good stuff that happens. And there's a lot of stuff that could be improved, I am sure. But I love public schools. And I think that public schools allows a kind of full-rounded character of a person. And whereas private schools is more about being elite and being the whatever top 2% of the country, I feel like my son, he just got promoted to counsel at.
Your time has expired. Thank you. Okay, and with that, it looks there's 2 board comments, and then we'll do, I appreciate you staying on. Go ahead, Lana.
Hi, thank you so much. I'd just like to make the point that unless any of us, other than our guests, are parents of kids in LAUSD right now, or a faculty member or a staff member, we have no idea the overwhelming things that this group of friends and family and neighbors had to go through and overcome. I commend this plan. It seems to be very thorough and thoughtful for re-entering the school. This is an overwhelming number of schools that has to be managed. Nobody asked for this, and I just can't imagine what they went through. And the frustration I believe that we've heard about would be best directed at the highest level of our government, with some of the policies that are in play and in practice right now. This is a behemoth. It's like lifting the Titanic and turning it right side up and trying to sail it again. So I just wanted to make that point clear, and thank you for your time and coming here and trying to get it straight and sorted for our community. Thank you.
Rick.
Los Angeles County has the lowest COVID positivity rate in America, which means that LA County is doing something right. And that includes LAUSD students and staff, which comprise 7% of the population. If you include everybody's families, that's nearly 20% of LA County's population.
Thanks. And Tammy Ramirez, one of LAUSD's own.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. I want to thank the Valley Village North Hollywood team for being here tonight and taking time out of their busy schedule after they've been at schools, helping them to prepare for reopening. So just them being here speaks a lot to how much they want to work with the community. And we understand that there's frustration all around, and we appreciate you voicing that. So that way I can board member. But again, let's remain respectful with our frustrations. And lastly, the team covered most of the updates I was going to share this evening, because they're just that phenomenal. And I just wanted to share out a couple of opportunities that I think you might be interested in. It's particularly for high school students who'll be, they're talking about their AP advanced placement testing, and we're hosting a webinar to talk about that and how that might look like this spring. And so that's going to be held on Monday, April 26th from 4 p.m. in English, and then again the same day from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. in Spanish. And then there's a district sponsor a graduate scholarship program. I sent the flyers to Mr. Freed so that way he could share out with the broader community in case that there's any interest in those opportunities. But again, thank you for your time. Maria, Rafael, and Marisa, thank you so much for being here tonight and just showing how much, again, we want to work with you all at, Studio City Neighborhood Council.
Thank you. With that, again, I will just thank Representative LAUSD Rafael, or I should say Dr. And Marissa and Maria, and I look forward to being in touch with all of you offline if convenient in the coming week, and we can we'll figure out next month. Thank you again. With that, moving right along to agenda item number 7, we have from our Transportation Committee, Barry Johnson. Barry Johnson, let's see here if you are able. Barry?
Hi, you can hear me now?
We can. Go ahead, Barry.
Hello? All
Yep,
right.
we can.
Our only motion came to us from the neighborhood at Hortense and Coldwater, where there's a multifamily housing unit, and several people said they really need a keep clear marking on the pavement at Hortense and Coldwater, going northbound on Coldwater right before you get to the Ventura Freeway. So we've done these before. It's fairly straightforward. I'll read it. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council requests Councilmember Paul Krikorian to instruct the Los Angeles Department of Transportation to install a painted "Keep Clear" pavement message on northbound Coldwater Canyon Avenue at the intersection of Hortense Street.
Okay, Patty Kirby, let's do public, thank you. Let's do public comment on this item, agenda item 7A, and then we can go to board comments and a vote. Patty Kirby, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to mention that North Hollywood, in the science fair, North Hollywood came in first. Harvard Westlake, $42,000 tuition came in fourth. And so paying that much money for a private school seems outrageous, doesn't it? Thank you.
Okay, if we can keep our comments relevant to the agenda item at hand, which is agenda item number 7A regarding the Board of Students.
I had my hand up. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. Okay, any other public comment on agenda item 7A? I see public comment from
Jerry Lewis.
Yes. Jerry Lewis, go ahead.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, so I'm Jerry Lewis. I'm one of the residents on Hortense. And part of the effort was pushed by a study I did at the intersection of Hortense and Coldwater. And what I noticed is that all of the streets south of Hortense along Coldwater have keep clear markings. And so if the justification for those markings were clear, then you definitely need it at Hortense, which is closer to the 101 than the rest of those intersections. And so they recently did the intersection at right up before Hortense because they redid the sidewalk. And so the engineering study for that is fresh. So if they need to see a study that proved that they need it, they have it already. That's it.
Great, thank you, Jerry. Seeing no other hands for public comment on agenda item 7A, public comment is now closed. Moving right along to our board members. Is there any public comment on agenda item 7A? Seeing none, let's bring this to a vote. Alexa, please. Alexa?
Unmute.
I have to unmute you, right? Sorry, because we were all getting a little feisty
There we
earlier.
go.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't let me unmute.
Sorry, that's my fault because I changed the settings. We were all getting a little feisty.
That's okay. Richard Adams.
Hold on one second. Let's try this 1 second. We're gonna allow. You're all gonna be muted, but you can now unmute yourself if you all promised to play nice in the sandbox. Okay. Richard Adams, go ahead and unmute yourself. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, just now let me. My only question is, why don't
Wait, are
we
you
do
voting
this north?
or you have comment?
I
guess
had a comment.
You had a comment. Okay, well, so I guess pause on the vote. Richard Adams, what would you go ahead?
Okay, I would like to see the keep clears painted on both the north and the southbound everywhere between Moore Park and the freeway because they clog up in both directions.
That's not pertinent to the vote, Richard.
I understand, but I was going to offer a friendly amendment to Barry that he include it on both sides of Coldwater, or we can address it in another transportation meeting.
Barry? Barry, you got to unmute yourself, but you should be able to.
Yeah, for the record, it wasn't letting me unmute.
Yeah, no, but I just correct.
Not a problem, boss. I get it. I get it. We're good.
Barry, give it a go one more time. Try to unmute yourself. I'm gonna.
Okay, in the interest of time, I vote yes.
Thank you.
I'll take it with Barry.
Alexa, please keep going.
Brian,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Richard, Niederberg. I thought I saw him here. Is he not?
Richard Niederberg. Richard Niederberg, please unmute yourself.
I'll come back.
Great.
Jesse,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes, and Adam.
Yes.
Richard?
He's unmuted now.
Okay, I say yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Barry. Barry, we got to see if we can get you unmuted since next up is you. So more of you.
Okay, now I got the message you are unmuted. I didn't before.
Sorry, okay.
So 8A's motion to do with Assembly bill that the council file, the city council is supported in a resolution. So we could be supporting the council file to support this assembly bill, which essentially allows cities like Los Angeles to opt in to an automated speed enforcement system. And we are suggesting that we would only support it if it was for vehicles traveling in excess of 15 miles over the posted speed limit. So I'll go ahead and read the motion. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Council File 21-002-S77, a City Council resolution supporting Assembly Bill 550 to require the California Secretary of Transportation to develop and adopt guidelines for the implementation of pilot programs to promote the safe operation of vehicles and the reduction of speed-related fatalities and injuries by authorizing the limited use of speed safety systems that allows the city to opt in to an automated speed enforcement system for vehicles traveling in excess of 15 miles over the posted speed limit. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS, to CF 21-002-S77.
Great. Is there, so let's hit pause. Is there any public comment on agenda item 8A, the motion that was just read? If there's any public comment, please raise your hand now.
I can't.
You can't what?
Well, raise my hand.
No, Richard, first we're going to public comment. So,
Okay, sorry.
Rudy Melendez, please go ahead. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you, Randy. Barry, can you just clarify why there's like a 15 mile, why is it not 5 mile or 10 miles over? What was the thought there? And because, we have a lot of speeding cars in our neighborhood right now, particularly down Moore Park. So what was the motivation for that?
We can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't want everybody that was going 3 miles over the speed limit automated ticket. So that's essentially the reasoning behind it. But I will say, even if this passes the state legislature, the city of LA is going to have to come back to us and say if they even want to opt in. So, if it passes, it's going to be back in our laps for approval or not, if they even decide to opt in.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Rudy. Seeing no more hands for public comment on agenda item 8A, public comment is now closed. We will go to board comment. Richard Niederberg, you had a comment.
Yeah, this is very similar to the photo red light signals in LA a few years ago. As a judge in Van Nuys, I heard thousands of these cases. A lot of people basically were not able to get relief or even get in there because of the problems with automated systems and having the police have to show up often too, and so it became very expensive in the city, and it became a place in which it was not worth the cost at a certain point. I was also the person that was deciding to present how the system works to all the traffic officers in LA County. It's a pretty good crowd. It's actually held in Montebello. And so this may be good in theory, but in real life, the other program, very similar to this, didn't work using automated stuff, because one of the reasons is that on freeways, the posted speed limit, that's it. It's the prima facie speed limit. But in residential areas, it is safer conditions. They may have a recommended speed limit, but that's not absolute. So I think you're going to have a lot of people challenging it because they say, well, it was safer conditions. which will cost the city a lot more money, even though it's a privately done system. So I'm just trying to say, basically, it's the automation does not always help. Have a good day.
Thank you, Richard. Michael Lazar.
Yeah, just real quick. 15 miles an hour sounds arbitrary to me, and there's no study behind it being any safer than 14 miles an hour or 12 miles an hour or 19 miles an hour. Beyond that, I think there's too much government monitoring of everything in our lives right now, and we don't need another automated thing going on. That's it.
Mr. President?
Go ahead, Richard Adams.
Okay, I raised my hand, but I'm not sure it went up. Anyway, I voted in favor of this as committee just to bring it to the board, like I do with a lot of things that I don't necessarily approve of. The system like this, automated, my faith in government not abusing anything is about my faith and my ability to throw the house I live in. We picked 15 miles an hour because that's at the point, if you get pulled over by a cop and you're going over 15 miles an hour above the posted limit, you're excessive. And that was my point, to at least try to make it so that, this wouldn't be, oh my God, you're 1 mile over the limit and now give us $300 or whatever the amount would be. Frankly, I'm opposed to the entire concept, but I did my bit at the committee to bring it forward to the board. I would be happy to say that we oppose the whole damn idea, but that's up to Barry and to the board. If you vote this down, that's where I'm voting. Thank you.
Brian Carroll.
Yeah, I'm a little wary about automatic law enforcement and surveillance. Once you start giving this kind of power to law enforcement, it's really hard to rein it back. I do like targeted stuff. That's why I like the next motion with school districts. That's kind of where my line is. But yeah, this kind of broad, there's no telling where they would take this and decide that everything that we do, speeding 15, it's over here, it's over there. It could be other things based on this kind of technology would hold up in court. All of a sudden, it's like, I just can't support something this broad.
Thank you, Brian. Adam Summer.
Yeah, first off, I was going to quickly mention, Randy, could we try to limit Richard Adams speaking out of turn or not following procedural protocol? I think it drags these meetings on and it really frustrates people who do raise their hand and wait. With that being said, I'm in agreement with Brian. I think not only is this automatic speeding infraction system, I think maybe a deterrent for people speeding, but I think it will 100% be a deterrent for people wanting to enter Studio City. The same way you know where all the red light cameras are and choose to avoid them in those areas of the city. So I think it's an inevitable cost for each and every one of us who live here, who all, inevitably will break the speed limit. And I don't think it is the economic time which warrants this, especially as we all are trying to recover our savings and our way of life from COVID. So I don't think now is the time or the place to do it.
Thank you, Adam. Seeing no other hands raised for board comment, let's bring this to a vote, please.
Right. Richard Adams.
No.
Brian.
No.
Michael.
Nope.
Randy.
No.
Alex.
No.
Lisa.
No.
Richard.
No.
Jesse.
No.
Rick.
Abstain.
Lana.
No.
Alexa. No. Adam.
No.
Motion does not pass.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 8A, Barry. 8B.
You mean B?
Yes, B, please.
Yeah, I don't see any point in wasting any time on B because it's exactly the same thing except in school. zones, but it's using a speed safety system just like in A, and we put 5 miles over the posted zone limit. So it's the same principle exactly. So there's really no point in wasting our time on it, and I think we could move to C.
So are you withdrawing the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any public comment on motion 8B, though it's being withdrawn? It is on our agenda. Brian Carroll.
I would have actually voted yay in that one. As I said, that's kind of an exception, school zones, as opposed to the broadness of law enforcement. So I'm actually sad to see that one be withdrawn, but I would have voted yes.
Actually, I'm with Brian on this one. Okay, but I do see public comment coming from Dash Puppet. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking. Go ahead.
What the hell did you do with my phone? I muted it, sir. You said the feds were listening. Yeah, okay. Well, unmute it now. I did, sir. Okay, now go ahead. Remember what I told you. Yes. So again, we're live in a special assignment tonight. So we'll be going mobile tonight, listening in and out. When Richard Adams speaks, people listen. So whenever he speaks, be sure to do two things. Keep your ears wide open and shut your fucking mouths. Honorable Army officer. Attention. Yes, that's right. How many of you serve? How many of you have been under fire from people wearing turbans and using rocket launchers because you're a Christian, huh? They'll kill all of you if they get the chance. But people like Richard Adams keep you safe so you can buy things with your $1,200 and $1,400 gift cards brought to you by Joseph Biden Incorporated. And then you can vote on automated law enforcement. So one day they can set up concentration camps with automatic weapons and automatic robots. Yeah. Imagine Carol being dragged out of his house by a robot in 10 years and put in a concentration camp because he voted for automated law enforcement. So that's the reason why we vote no on anything the government does to raise any fees or taxes. We don't need them. We don't want them. Well, what's some of them? And we don't need the city council. But what we need is the indictment of the United States of America versus Paul Martin Kerkorian, no bar license since 2015. That's correct. Anything else? Yes. We demand that Mr. Adams be given his time.
Your time is expired. Seeing no other hands for public comment on this agenda item, which has been withdrawn, I see a board hand, Richard Adams. Richard. Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, it keeps muting me and unmuting me. For the record, yes, I served in the U.S. military from 1983 to 2003, 20 years, 11 months, and some very odd days. I did get shot at while in uniform, but it was because somebody screwed up. I never deployed overseas. I never got attacked. I never attacked anybody. But I have been shot at several times here in the Los Angeles area, minding my own business, doing my job. So I do not claim any honor other than what I have earned. Thank you.
Seeing other comments, moving right along to agenda item 8C. Barry.
And this in motion in committee had like a tie vote, and I think I voted the other way just so we could get it on the agenda and see what the board wants to do with it. So the motion is the board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes Council File 21-002-S30, a City Council resolution supporting the Federal Freedom to Move Act, which is HR 7389/F.4278, to provide federal funds to state and local agencies to provide fare free transit. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS, to CF 21-002-S30.
We will take public comment first, if there's public comment on agenda item number 8C. Please raise your hand. Erica Fox, please go ahead when you're ready.
I'm a little confused by this motion. Because it's calling for free transportation. Is that what it is? Like you get on a bus for free?
Yes.
And why is that something people are opposed to? I'm just curious.
Because it's using federal funds.
And
I think Richard Adams, when he raises his hand for board comment, can fill us in better. Because the committee took both ways, opposes, and one way opposing it and one way not. So we ended up with a final vote on opposes. So Richard can probably explain to all of us better.
Erica, any other comments on this one?
No, just that I think using federal funds for public transportation seems like a nice use of federal funds, but there must be something I'm missing here.
Thank you, Erica. Seeing no other hands for public comment on agenda item 8C, public comment is now closed. Moving to board members, I see two hands. Let's start with Richard Adams.
Hello,
go ahead.
Me too.
And Richard Niederberg. Let's start with Richard Adams. Go ahead. Richard. Go ahead, Richard. You're unmuted. Go ahead, Richard. You just muted yourself.
Okay, but
sorry,
yeah.
Adams. Go ahead, Niederberg. While we work on unmuting Adams, go ahead, Niederberg.
Fine. My only complaint here is that if it's free, I believe you'll have people, homeless and otherwise, be on it for an extended period of time, which will discourage the suit and tie people from Warner Center, for example, coming down the Orange Line and then going downtown. I don't think you want to discourage anybody from using this, and so I'm opposed only because of the fact that not that it's free, but it will invite people that will take up room and be objectionable to other people. I'm not saying they're homeless. I'm just saying that it will take up room. Thank you.
Richard Adams.
All right, I think I'm finally unmuted. It seems to think that you permanently muted me. Anyway, neither here nor there. My take on this is, A, it is not free. Pretty much everybody listening to this pays federal taxes. The government takes the money, they push it around, they tell you it's free, it's not free. People somewhere are paying for this. It is not the job and not the goal of the United States government to pay for every free, great idea somebody comes up with. And even in the poorest parts of this city, which I spent a great amount of time in, and I grew up in them, there is nobody starving to death. Even the homeless have cell phones, I saw some guy with an arc welder building things on the sidewalk, but he was, quote, unhoused. It is not the job of the federal government to provide fare free anything. You want to get someplace, you get there. This is the worst abuse of taxpayer funds imaginable, not the worst imaginable, but it's horrifying. And I am fundamentally opposed to this on the grounds that it's not the federal government's job to make sure you can hop on the bus and go from here to there. You want to get someplace, do your part. It's an obscenity in my world. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian Carroll. Okay, are you still unable to unmute? Brian, go ahead.
Hey, there you go. I wanted to offer a friendly amendment. I'd like to strike the word opposes and put in supports.
Okay, I would accept that.
Do we need a second? How's this work?
Yeah, I mean, I'll second it. No problem, Brian. Either way, right? The board has to vote. So when we get to the voting,
vote on the change.
If he's right, your vote now changes. If you are in support of being supportive, then you vote yes. If you are opposed to supporting this, you vote no. Just make sure that's clear. Did you have anything else, Brian? Perfect.
Nope.
Rick Rosner, go ahead.
I don't think, making it free accomplishes the objective of getting drivers off the road. I don't think an Audi driver is going to suddenly start taking the green line because it's free.
Anything else?
No.
Great, thank you. Jesse Porter, dear sir, haven't heard from you all night.
Thank you. Rick makes an interesting point. I agree that maybe the Audi drivers of the world aren't necessarily going to take advantage of this program should it be put into effect. But if there are those more marginal commuters who, for whom the cost of taking public transportation is at all prohibitive, this program, and they still drive cars, and any allocation of federal funds to in the direction of getting more cars off the road, or any programs that that might lead us to that sort of position at some point, I think is a very, as Erica said earlier, a very worthy use of federal funds. So as amended, per Brian's suggestion, I would support this.
Okay, and Alexa.
I wanted to confirm the amendment that we're striking the word opposes and putting in the word supports.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll just weigh in. I think it's interesting that one of the comments in opposition to this is because maybe I'm trying to remember Richard Niederberg's exact word, that first you explicitly said homeless people, and then you said but not homeless people. And I think that rather than talk about well, we want to keep these people off the bus because it'll be a deterrent to, as you said, the suit and tie, I actually think it's a weird fix to for the problem. I think that we have to address the issue of homelessness and solve that as a city and a county to the extent that we can, and not use free transportation as a strange wedge issue, number one, in my opinion. And number two, we know that first of all, public transportation isn't just buses and people wanting to be in their Audi. I actually know a couple Audi owners who, anecdotally, they take the train here at the Red Station and they go to their office in downtown. I think that free transportation, as we know in LA, usually public transit is used by lower income individuals. So in a city where taxes are beyond belief, I think that anything that can help improve the livelihoods of those that use public transportation is, personally, in my opinion, is actually a good thing. Especially if, and it's coming from someone who pays more than I'd like to admit in taxes. But I think that it's worthwhile, so I hope people will support it. With that, let's take it to a vote. Oh, Brian Carroll. Oh, sorry. I don't know why it's not letting you. It should be. Let me give it a go.
I think it's actually technically 2 votes, right? 1 to officially change the motion in the language, or does friendly amendment go around that process?
I think the friendly amendment goes around that process because he.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure.
Okay, I think we're good. So let's vote on this as amended. Alexa, whenever you're ready. So this is if you are. So can we read it again as amended, please?
The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Council File 21-002-S30, a City Council resolution supporting the Federal Freedom to Move Act, HR 7389/S.4278, to provide federal funds to state and local agencies to provide fare free transit. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS, to CF 21-002-S30.
Okay, let's take it to a vote. Alexa, please take it away. You can't. One moment. Go ahead.
There we go. Okay. Richard.
And now Richard can't unmute. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Mute. Just leave yourself unmuted, Richard. Go ahead.
I vote no, and I will hang up and dial back in, and maybe that'll cure the refusability. But my vote on this is no.
Brian. Brian can't. Oh, yes.
I'm pretty sure he's yes, but let's hold on 1 second. Should
make it audible so the people on the phone.
There we go. Yes, I support it.
Great. Michael.
No.
Randy.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Richard.
As to what go to council, no.
Jesse.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Lana.
No.
Alexa. No. Adam.
Richard Adam, you're referring to? Let's see.
No, Adam Summer.
Summer.
Oh, Adam Summer. Let's see if he is having an issue. Unmute. Go ahead, Adam Summer.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, it was not letting me.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Moving right along, 8D.
And 8D is a motion having to do with health licenses for street food vendors, which were, and this is not the same thing as their license to do business. This is just the health license. And the requirement for that health license was not enforced for the longest time over the pandemic. And then it was started to be enforced again a couple months ago, and now they want to have a moratorium on enforcement again. And the committee just felt that we're coming out of the pandemic. We're talking about leading healthy lives in terms of germs with this pandemic, and that anybody serving food, be it a restaurant or in this case, a street food vendor, ought to have a valid health permit for selling food. So that's where this motion comes from, and I'll read it. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes reestablishing a moratorium on enforcing the issuing of citations for street vending of food without a valid health permit. That's it.
Great, thank you. So we'll hit pause, get public comment. Okay, see a bunch of hands. So public comment is now open on agenda item 8D. Rudy Melendez, please go ahead.
Thank you, Randy. I apologize if I missed public comment on the previous motion. Was that called?
It was, and it did pass.
Okay, I heard the vote. For the record, I drive an Audi. Yeah, no, I hope that you guys would oppose, as the motion reads here, for this new bit of business. Barry's absolutely right. I mean, if there's anything that we learned about COVID is respect the environment, be clean, don't throw your mask and your gloves on the ground in the Gelson's parking lot. I mean, respect the environment, and that should be the case for every business that's serving food, whether you're serving it on the street or in a restaurant space. So, I mean, this is obvious. We just want to make sure that if we're going to buy a bacon wrapped hot dog after the Dodger game, that the vendor has a health permit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have public comment from Kira Durbin. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Kira Durbin. Yeah, I feel very alarmed that anyone would be serving food without a health permit. That's really scary. So thank you for bringing this motion to the board.
Seeing no other hands for public comment on agenda item 8D, public comment is now closed. Moving to board members. Do any board members have public comment on this? Seeing no hands, if we can please bring to, I'm sorry? Seeing no hands, if we can please bring this to a vote. Yep, I see Alexa, no problem.
Perfect. Motion 8D. Richard. Richard.
Hold on. He just called back in. Go ahead, Richard Adams. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, there we go. Absolutely, yes.
Brian.
We're still in it. I vote no.
Michael.
Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Richard. Niederberg.
I'm opposed to extending the moratorium, so I vote yes.
Jesse.
The permitting requirements for street vendors are odious unnecessarily, so I vote no.
Rick.
Yes.
Lana. Lana.
She can't unmute.
Yep. Sorry. Go ahead, Lana.
Yes.
And Adam.
No.
Oh, and I vote yes. 11. Motion passes.
Great, thank you very much. Moving right along to agenda item number 9. Actually, very happy to see this on the agenda. Michael, please go ahead.
Yes, we're going to talk about outreach, and I brought this motion or mentioned this motion at the last meeting. as we were signing off. Last June, 2 Studio City residents in Colfax Meadows came up with a project or an event that celebrated Juneteenth and got the community to come out and come together in a safe manner. The event was, by most accounts, and I was there, I took part in it. I thought it was great. It was a positive event. It was a successful event. What it is it's a walk through a neighborhood with chalk marks on the ground directing people from station to station. At each station, there's a poster that explains some part. I'm going to turn this actually over to the people who are running the event. Basically, it's Erica Fox and Bipasha Strum. And Erica is here tonight to talk about this and explain exactly what the event is. But what we're proposing is that the outreach committee will be a sponsor of this event and put up money out of our budget to support this event this year. It was so good last year. We'd get our logo on the posters, so there's awareness for the council, but more importantly, it's supporting an event that gets people out in a safe way and is educational and get a little walking in. Who couldn't use a little walking in their lives? So with that, I'm going to turn over to Erica Fox, who's going to tell you more about it.
Michael pretty much described it. We came up with this idea because, of course, 4th of July, we have a big 4th of July event usually in this neighborhood, but because last year's pandemic, we couldn't do it. And Bipasha said, we should do something for Juneteenth. And I said, that's a great idea. So I came up with a walk, and I sort of did it as a narrative of African-American history. So it starts, during the era of slavery, and I moved it all the way up to the present era. Of course, now things are not, listen, the verdict yesterday it was a positive move, but still, anyway, so I brought it up to the present with the lynching museum and Rand Paul's refusal to pass the anti-lynching law. But it starts off with Denmark Vesey, and it brings you all the way with various different people and important events and important Supreme Court achievements, or not, bad votes. Anyway, so the 4th of July committee paid for everything last year, and the way they make their money is they get money from the 4th of July event. So they've used up their money. And one of the things I would like to do is pay them back so they could indeed do another 4th of July event. But we want Juneteenth to keep going, because I think it really was very successful. As Michael said, I didn't know that anybody would show up, but people came and people read and people, learned. And so it was a very positive experience. And I think it's a good thing. It's for all of Studio City. It's for all, people came from all over LA. We had people from La Cañada and Venice and, all over the place. And we brought them to Studio City, and it was great. And I'm really appreciative, we're both really appreciative that Michael is so supportive of this event.
It's a culturally aware project, and I think we could all use a little cultural awareness and understanding. We have money to spend before our term is up, and this seems to me to be a worthwhile way to put some money back into the community in a way that gets people out and walking, and maybe even teaches them something about history.
And one more thing is we spread it out over 3 days because it is almost 3 miles, so that people who couldn't do it all in one day could spread it out. And also so that people wouldn't be on top of each other. We made it no set time. And so people would come in the late afternoon because it was cooler. People would come in the morning. So anyway, but there was never any crowds or anything.
And the money is to pay for the posters and pay for the feeding of the people as they're making these posters and getting our logo on the posters. And, you know, that's why they need support, because they did it all out of pocket last year and it still was amazing. So I thought putting a little professional or Studio City spin on it would be a good thing for all. And with that, we can read it. We'll read the motion later, but go ahead.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Michael. So we have public comment. We will number of hands up. So public comment is now open on agenda item 9A. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council shall allocate up to $1,500 to support the Juneteenth walk, June 18th through the 20th, 2021 in the Colfax Meadows neighborhood. We have first public comment by Puppet. Go ahead.
Or did you want to talk about this? Yes. Juneteenth. Oh, another politically correct holiday. So, what's next? Ramadan, pre-Ramadan? Yeah, see, you're catering to the needs of the psychologically impaired. So, there is no such thing as Juneteenth. Doesn't exist. But it's okay, because you guys like to sit there and think you're better than everybody else. But read Eric Previn's wonderful article of factual indentured servitude, and he mentions slavery, City Watch Monday. Yes, the great Studio City NC article. Yes, it will win numerous awards. It describes how all of us became slaves. Slaves to lobbyists. Slaves to Paul Martin Kerkorian. Slaves to Lisa Sarkit. And the great John Walker, God rest his soul. I think he's still alive. No, if you're not on the Studio City NC, you don't exist. Good enough. So again, Goat Puppet will oppose this, and all of you will have to vote yes, because if you don't, you'll be run out of the city's PC machine on a rail. But I think that Richard Adams will stand up and say, no more fake holidays. Because the next thing you know, every city employee will want to have Juneteenth as a paid federal holiday, city and state. Pretty soon there'll be 900 of these holidays per every calendar year. And then nobody will be paid to work. Actually,
Your time has expired. There is public comment from Rudy Melendez. Go ahead.
Thank you, Randy. I live, you know, I guess we all live in this neighborhood. And I was very aware of this event last year. I saw it sort of develop and emerge on next door. And I went to high school in Texas, so Juneteenth was kind of a big deal for those that don't know about Juneteenth. I was surprised that many people don't really know what the nature of the date represents. And so this is like a really great idea for this neighborhood council to get behind. This might be the best outreach event that the neighborhood council has ever done. So I would hope that y'all would support this. Thank you.
Thank you. We have public comment from Brandon Marino. Go ahead.
Yeah. First, for Dash Puppet, yeah, Vaudeville called it Once It's Humor Back. None of that was very funny. He thinks he's funny, so maybe you just made his day. But in terms of Juneteenth, anything to get people back to a sense of normalcy is a good idea. And getting people out in a safe way, walking, talking to each other, feeling like, I don't know, this is 2019. just anything where people can start feeling like themselves again, I think is a fantastic idea. The Studio City Neighborhood Council being a part of it, I think is a great idea. And I completely support it.
Thank you. We have public comment from Terry Austin. Go ahead.
Sorry, Randy, that was a mistake. I apologize.
Okay. We have public comment from Shay. Go ahead.
I think the idea that if Juneteenth is a holiday, that every other what you call politically correct holiday would become a federal funded holiday is kind of a false equivalence. I don't think that should be a reason to vote against it, because I think that's a bit of fear mongering, in my opinion, to say that this one thing will lead to your taxes being used in a bad way. So I do think it's a great idea, actually, for the city to have this. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Thank you. We have, seeing no other hands raised for public comment on this issue, we will go to board comments. I see Richard Adams. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I hate to inform my fan club of this, but I'm in favor of this. I became aware of Juneteenth back when I was serving the Army, because in the Army you serve with people from all different cultures, all different colors, all different everything, and you learn to work together as a team, and you learn from each other. I participated in Juneteenth celebrations for many decades. And this is a celebration of when the U.S. Army, the Union Army, got to Confederate Texas and announced the reality of life to the Confederates, that they had lost the war and they could no longer hold slaves. And it celebrates the final freeing of slavery throughout the United States at the great cost of blood and money, to do the right thing by our fellow man. So I'm 110% in favor of this, and I congratulate people for coming up with a celebration. Thank you.
Public comment from Rick Rausner. Go ahead.
Just wanted to agree with Michael that we can easily afford to fund this. With 2 months left to go in the fiscal year, this would only use 6% of our remaining funds.
Thank you for giving us the financial forecast on this. Thank you, sir. We have Lana. Go ahead.
Hi. So I would just like to say that years ago, when I was working in Birmingham, I happened to have the privilege to be a representative for my company on the team that helped put together the promotion for the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute and hosting its opening reception. In addition, I've spent many years researching and studying a particular story during the American Civil War. So with that framing in mind, and also stating that I believe this would be a lovely event for our community, hopefully just the very first one post maybe masks not maybe being mandated anymore, we think maybe. I feel it would be a very positive and helpful thing. So don't get mad when I ask these questions, please, but I would like to ask our treasurer some of the administrative particulars that we might need to address to make sure that it actually goes through. So Rick, when we are sending money for an event, most often that event the money has gone through a nonprofit organization. If it is money that would be paid to individuals. I understand that the city requires someone to have a business tax license ID. Now, the business tax license is free, and then you can get it in a day down there in Van Nuys, pretty lickety split, or maybe you can do it online now if they're not having visitors. But I wanted to ask that of Rick, if he knew of any particulars that we need to, to know up front before we get into a situation where, it might not be approved.
All right. Well, in my less than vast experience, I find that, we submit to the best of our ability, and then Paola tells us where we're deficient. What you just said about getting it, I mean, that would improve the odds that it would go through on the first time around, but no guarantees. But we have 2 months to Juneteenth, so, we should just try it and see if it goes through. We'll have the BAC if this passes, which it should, and we'll need an invoice. And Lana, go ahead. You're muted, but.
So I just thought maybe a call to Paola maybe would be helpful, so that the folks that are the event coordinators might know if they need to go get a business tax license for any reason. Again, that is a free thing. And
I'll wait tomorrow and see what.
Okay, I think that would just be helpful, so that we, we're not doing everything at the last minute if something were to be kicked back. And then I wanted to ask our event coordinators if there are other people that are being approached to be sponsors of the event, such as our normal participants like the chamber and the bid and different folks like that. And is it open for anyone to participate along the path? Would they be able to, would other participants, if they had something appropriate, be able to exhibit? Thank you. That's all. Thanks for listening.
I can answer a little part of that, and Erica can maybe chime in too. Yeah, and that happened last year. In addition to these signposts that were the formal markers, all along the streets, neighbors came out and posted things that they were passionate about in the struggle for freedom. It was such an amazing event, and people did stay socially distanced if that's a concern. It was just a heartwarming, amazing experience. And I will start an email chain with all of us, Lana and Rick and Erica and Bipasha, so that we can coordinate the financial end of it.
Yes, we encouraged people to put things on their yards. We have in this neighborhood these big plastic walls that people put up, and we're kind of interested in being able to use those. So I know we're going to ask those neighbors if we can use their walls. We do encourage people who are not in this neighborhood that maybe if they want to participate, they could use those walls, or they could use other people's yards. And if people don't have an idea of what to put, we also provided them with, not art supplies. No, we provided them with content. Or we'd say, why don't you look this up? But yeah, people did a great job. And I think the reason we don't need a business license is because we're not asking for money. We're not asking to get paid. We're asking to have our receipts reimbursed, which is how the neighborhood did it. We just presented our receipts and they paid us. Now, in this instance, we thought maybe you guys could start us off with some money, like maybe $500, and then we would come back with receipts. And if we needed more, then you could give us some more money, but based off of receipts. So that was our way of not having to be a nonprofit or get a business license.
And we can work this out offline, I think, and the technicals of it.
So we have board comment from, I still see hands up, but Alex, go ahead.
We go. Hey, how are you? Yeah, I was just actually curious because I don't know what's left in the budget. As was mentioned, this is a sixth of the remaining budget. If there's any, is there any way to maybe amend it to maybe offer even more? Because is that something that would be out of? I mean, considering the totality of the event. I think we have a lot of money left, and I don't know if there would be a more important event to really to sort of commemorate this. Is that something that's not possible? I'm just not sure.
No, just write it as a friendly amendment to the motion.
Yeah, I would say at least 3,000.
So
okay, we have public comment from Brian Carroll.
Oh, good. I think we can't go up, but we can go down on the amount. But we can, like as we said, it's 2 months. We can put maybe this on the next month's agenda as well, if that's what we all feel about it. I think this event's a no-brainer. I think it's great, and between the golf course and this, I think we are best when we are backing the people in Studio City who are making events for themselves, beyond the fact that we just can't have events right now. I mean, I think that's just great. So fully supportive of it, and we can just figure out the technicals later.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just echo Brian. I think it's, as an NCR job, hopefully is to amplify the voice of our community and stakeholders. And I give so much credit to both Bipasha and Erica for doing this last year. If we think about how early in the pandemic we were, and the fears and shelves being empty and things a bit of a challenge, and they did this for the community, to say nothing, frankly, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, of the social unrest, of the rancor and racism and bigotry laid bare that still exists in our society. My personal opinion, frankly, is that we're lucky that you'll have us. In terms of the logistics, quite frankly, in terms of money and then receipts, the easiest solution is going to be, you tell it, if there's a if we're partnering with you, there's a poster to be printed, then the SCNC just pays that vendor directly. And then because we're buying the poster, or we're buying to help host this event, and then we avoid this whole conversation and the frankly big challenges, understandably, because of the kind of the guardrails protecting taxpayer money and going to a private individual. But I think it's best if we can work out the exact details, which printer, so on and so forth, or whatever it is that's needed. So I hope everyone will support this. And again, just a huge thank you to Erica, to you, and extend our big thanks. I actually still have city certificates that I have to get to you both that are from the city, thanking you for doing something so great, so timely, for our community and surrounding communities. So
and from
with that,
council as well, by the way.
Right. And so with that, if we can bring this to a vote, that'd be great.
Lana has her hand raised.
Oh, Lana, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so please just let me reiterate how I do understand that any monies that are to be paid to any entity must be registered in the city with a business tax license, because that's the way the city operates. That's what I understand. Anyone that we've ever hired for an event, even as a performer, had to have that business tax license. If it was not a non-profit, they're just specific outlines and policies that they follow, and that's not us. As to just paying for the printing receipts, that's not what this motion says. So again, we don't want to set this up for, being messy in any way, right? So if Rick will call Paula and we'll figure out if then the entire funds in this motion that we're discussing would be sent to the event coordinators, and then they spend it as they choose, right? No? I see Rick saying
Well, no,
no.
the motion is, wait, so the motion specifically said, the motion, to be clear, does not say that we are paying Bipasha and Erica, nor does it say that we are reimbursing individuals. The motion reads that we are to support the Juneteenth walk, and we're allocating $1,500 in support of. So our support could be purchasing of posters. Our support could be purchasing of bottled water for a community event. Our support could be, so I don't see how this motion is messy in the sense that we're not, because I understand your concern about paying a tax entity, but nowhere in this are we suggesting that we're allocating money not to a tax-paying entity.
Okay, well, I did hear Erica say, if you go back into this recorded session, you will hear her say about being reimbursed and things like this. So that we just need to be really clear that if our outreach committee is going to take on this, this printing of the posters, that's great with our logo on it. If anybody else comes in, we'll offer to put their logo on it as well. But that is the only way I see that would work properly. Again, just trying to keep this in that wheelhouse of how the city dictates to us.
Can I just say something here?
Please.
Oh, so just so we don't all get ahead of ourselves on this, when Michael suggested when he wanted to do this, there's no printing of posters. I buy the poster material. I bought it from Michael's, and then I print up the thing, and my daughter and her school friends decorate them and put them together. So there isn't like going to a poster place if you want to just pay Michael's directly. But I personally, and I said this to Michael, I'm perfectly happy to have the logo on the flyers that announce this, and they can stay up during the whole weekend. I don't think in terms of putting the Studio City Neighborhood Council logo on the posters themselves, because then, it's sort of...
Well, Erica, that is a requirement of our sponsorship.
Lana, can you just please let Erica finish her?
I think, it's a government entity. And like when you give money to a school, I don't know that you necessarily put your logo on everything that you give to the school. This is to me, it's like ownership, and then you're responsible for the content. And I don't think you really want to be responsible for the content. But so for me, that's the way I feel. It can be on certain things. For the official markers, I think it's best to not. It can be on. We said we have a final table, and Studio City Neighborhood Council can put their stuff all over there. I just really think that the posters themselves, sort of, they're markers that I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, that is a requirement. I'm sorry, Randy, but that has been a requirement for many years, that any monies that we give, even to schools, we ask them for the acknowledgement that is where the funds have come from.
So let's do this. Number one, Erica is not saying is not suggesting that the SCNC wouldn't be acknowledged. The question is as to number one. Number two, I'm going to say we vote on the motion as is. Of course, Rick, after the fact of this passage, you can talk to Paula Michael DeLazar, and I'm happy to be a part of this and jump in as well, or if it includes Lana and our treasurer, Rick, whoever needs to be on the call to hopefully at a convenient time for you, Erica, we can follow up with you. And again, I hope this passes, and I'm confident we can work out the details. Where there's a will, there's a way, and that we can support this important event on so many levels for our community. And so with that, Alexa, if you can please have a
I
vote.
want to say how much
One
we appreciate
clarification.
your support.
One clarification: are we voting on as amended to $3,000 or to $1,500?
No, it's Brian is correct that we can't go up, but we can certainly. I am certainly happy for us to bring this. I appreciate Alex's Biggie's points that it's important. We have the money, so if there's more needed and more we can, logistically do with the constraints of taxpayer money and how that'll all work, which we'll talk more offline. So let's keep it as is, and listen. Let's connect, Erica, and let's get the wheels rolling as best we can. If there's a need for more, we'll bring it again next month. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna assume we are. Does that work for you, Michael?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Alexa, let's call the roll, please.
Richard Adams.
He probably
Richard?
is. Hold on one second. He's probably muted. 1 second. Richard Adams, I'm sorry, and it looks like your hand was up. Do you have a comment?
Alrighty. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all in favor of moving the number up as long as it's being used for something appropriate. I agree with Ms. Lana that the forms must be obeyed and these things should go through appropriate channels. And other than that, yes.
Great, thank
I
you.
approve.
Moving on.
Okay. Brian,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Hold on. Can mutes. Let's see. Richard?
Okay, fine. I'm for it because I wanted to say something. I didn't have a chance during the discussion. Please let me do it now. I've been doing this as part of Mark Ridley Thomas's team for over 20 years worth. I'm very much in favor of this. Basically, I think it'd be easier if we sponsored ourselves, but logistically, if we would just buy the water ourselves or whatever our contribution is, it would be life a lot easier if we just spent the money and not gave money to anybody else. But I'm very much in favor of it.
Thank you, Richard.
Jesse,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Alexa, yes, and Adam.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Bipasha. Moving on, equally exciting to see this on the agenda. And though she's absent, a thank you to Nancy Kremer for working with JJ Hoffman, who, can you imagine, volunteered to join us and join the SCNC, and has a committee, and so they are, with Nancy's help, had a meeting this past week, and they are putting forth a motion. So, JJ, I am muting you. You should be able to share your screen and take it away, dear sir.
Thank you. I'm going to start by reading the motion, if that's all right.
Yep.
Okay. The City Neighborhood Council allocates up to $2,000 for the Youth Committee to beautification projects to possibly include Moore Park Park, and the pathway at Coldwater Canyon and Ventura Boulevard. Possible additions of the project may include doggy bag dispensers, outdoor trash bins and recycling bins, milkweed, California native plants, including succulents, and at least 5 garden boxes. New park equipment, the sanitization of existing park equipment, better measures to keep the trash out of the river, and possibly the addition of community-based initiatives, such as everyone bringing a painted rock to make a rock garden. And now I will share my screen. Okay. So this is Moore Park, and as you can see, there is space for a bunch of additions, and one of the problems is that trash goes into the river, and you can see that fence like doesn't really help that much. So we could put more trash bins down, and I'll go more into detail on that in a second. And then this is the pathway. It's near Coldwater. It's actually from Long Ridge to Van Nord, and it's on the border of Studio City. So it's all half of it is in Sherman Oaks, which kind of makes it kind of forgotten and neglected land, I guess. As you can see, there's just like weeds and just a lot of emptiness. And today I went there and there's lots of trash and stuff. And I do have an estimate from a landscaper estimating around $1,650 for landscaping, planting the succulents in the soil and everything. And these committees agreed to maintain Moore Park throughout the summer. And for maintenance for the Ventura and Coldwater area, I went there today and there are sprinklers, but I need to know who to contact to see if they're working or not, because they don't look like they are, but they do exist. And we will have ongoing maintenance. The landscaper told me that the succulents need to be maintained watered once per month. And the youth committee can maintain it during the summer, but we can't commit past summer at this time. But we will have solutions for that too. And then these are just some of the items that we purchased for both locations. So location 1 is Moore Park, and location 2 is Ventura and that area near Coldwater. So you're gonna see there's garden boxes, succulents, milkweed, outdoor trash bins and compost, doggy bag dispensers, cleanup, including sanitizing tables and play equipment. And then sponsors for benches, if we wanted to include benches in location 2, we could get people to sponsor that. I'm not sure what the exact regulations are for that. But that was just an idea. And just miscellaneous if there's money left over. And the last thing was, this is a rock garden and near Encinitas, and that's where the inspiration came from, just for like a community initiative for that. So yeah, that's it.
JJ, thank you for the presentation. So we will first do public comment. Public comment is now open on agenda item 10A from the youth committee. So public comment, we will start with, okay, let's see. Hold on, sorry. Puppet, go ahead.
Yes. Again, the sneakiness of Randy Fried Chicken, doing business as Randy Fraud. So we have a little microphone. Isn't it unfair? How come Carol's microphone, he can unmute it and mute it when he wants? Alex can do the same. But not Goat Puppet. He has mommy controls on his microphone all night. What a shame. What a disgusting way to run a neighborhood council. But again, if you read the article by Eric Previn, it describes everything that's going on here, all these motions and the dirtiness that surrounds the CD2. So what we need to do is we need immediate resignations of Randy Fraud, Lisa Sarkin, I thought you liked Lisa Sarkin. No, because Lisa Sarkin said bad things that were caught on a video. And she's your election chief. Look at you, the bearded one. Yes, no, not Carol. He has a decent beard. I'm talking about the one with the little black beard. Yes. So again, we object to all the procedures here. We demand an immediate resignation of Randy Fraud, doing business as Randy Free Chicken. Yes. And most of all, what we want is control of the microphone and video privileges so you can see my horns and my tail and fur. Because I'm an animal. You're animals. But the difference is I'm an educated animal. I went to school on the farm. I eat vegetation. And then I shit it out. I do a lot more than all of you combined do in a year. So me and my animals, we will continue to attend.
Your time has expired. We have public comment from Quinn Frankel. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm a part of JJ's committee, and we've done a lot of thinking about the beautification of our Studio City community. Second of all, I don't feel like bringing that kind of language into a neighborhood community with no intentions other than to help our community and help the people who live in it should be appropriate. I don't know who that is, but just, I don't know, as a first timer, I don't think that is I don't know, like racism, sexism, it's just not nice to hear as a youth wanting to be a part of this committee. And also, yeah, we were talking about a lot of sanitization of the play structures and the tables and benches on Moore Park as well, because obviously the pandemic has caused lots of more germs to spread. And I walk to school and from school every morning past Moore Park, and I see the tables, and sometimes I sit at them, and sometimes they're sticky and they have gum on them and stuff like that. And I also every single morning see lots of kids playing on the play structures. So we thought to maybe get a sanitization team or even just a group of people that could go and volunteer, maybe from schools or I don't know, whatever, that could go and clean up the trash and sanitize the playground. So I wanted to add that in. And the tables, and scrape the gum and the weird sticky stuff off of the tables, because people eat there.
Thank you. We have public comment from Brandon Marino. Please go ahead.
A couple things. First, for Dash Puppet, I have made a decision to make a t-shirt out of you. I am a cartoonist. And I'm going to sell it on Society 6 and make a ton of money because you're anonymous. So unless you come out and say who you are, you're getting 0 cents. For JJ, there is a dead tree along Ventura Boulevard. That walkway, I take it all the time. I live right over here. The neighbors in the area have been trying to remove that tree for a while. So I would wait until there's a decision to make to remove that tree before you start any beautification process, because it's going to take a chunk of land out of the way. So you might want to talk to some of the neighbors right along that. It's a very unique section of Ventura Boulevard. It's maybe Tarzana has something very similar. For one half of the street is residential, split off to side streets. It is a really nice area, but I would talk to some of the residences around the Bistro Garden area to see what they're doing to remove that tree before you do any beautification process to that area. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Brandon. Public comment from Terry Austin. Go ahead.
Great presentation, JJ. I just want to make a suggestion that if you're looking for extra help with maintenance, because Studio City Neighborhood Council is a nonprofit, you might be able to get on a list of people who have to do community service and would be able to give you X amount of hours to do set tasks that you put forward. My organization accepts people for community service, and we tell we say to the entity what we need, and then they sign up for it. So it might help. But great presentation. Good for you.
Thank you, Terry. Shay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think a lot of it could be done like with the funds, but also there's like I'm part of Judge's Youth Committee as well, along with Quentin, and I know like a lot of us and as well as this kids from the neighboring school at Campbell Hall right next to the like right by it would also be willing to help like plant some of the plants or like add to the rock garden because there's a lot of like green teams and environmental clubs there that are always looking to do like local work. So like I know that they'll have like a lot of backing for like certain projects or sanitization or planting of certain things. So you wouldn't have to like worry about paying someone or extra funds to like plant something or create like those projects because I know the school next to it would be willing to help with that.
Thank you. Public comment by Rudy. Go ahead.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the spirit of this new youth committee, and I understand they're being introduced to, democracy and freedom of speech, and it may be difficult to hear some things in public comment, but that's how government works, and people have a right to say things that you may disagree with. So keep that in mind. It's sometimes it's difficult to hear these kinds of things, but people have a right to say what they want to say in a public meeting. I hope that this committee will support the youth committee. The board will support this youth committee, and everyone here is a proponent of beautification. In regards to like hiring a team to clean, I think we need to really focus the energy and hold our Parks and Recs team accountable from the city. This is the job that they are responsible to do. So rather than paying somebody else to do their job, we need to make sure that the city is actually doing the job that we pay them to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rudy. Barry Johnson.
Hi, you can hear me, I take it?
Yes.
Hi, JJ, this is Barry. I'm a board member of the Studio City Beautification Association. And I just wanted to say that before you go buying anything or planting anything or touching anything on city property, you must contact the city. Because if you plant something or buy something to place somewhere on their property, even though it's our property, they run it, they will make you take it out. So you must get permission. So before you go buying anything, get this permission, because I've seen other people plant things in the area along Ventura going east from Long Ridge, and the city made them go and pull the plants out. So again, don't buy anything or place anything until you have that permission. Thanks.
Thank you, Barry. Seeing no other hands up for public comment, public comment on this agenda item is now closed. Going to board comment, we have a hand up from Richard Adams. Go ahead.
Not only will the city rip out plants that you put in without permission, they will rip out plants that you put in with their permission. And I would be happy to talk with you, JJ, about doing all these things. I have questions. Where are these doggy bag dispensers going? Outdoor trash bins, etc. And milkweed, you need to be careful that it's actually milkweed that will support the California monarchs. Obviously, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a California native plant fetish because I'm a California native myself. And I'll be happy to work with you and your group on doing things like this. But my first question to the board is, did this actually go in front of the budget committee before it was brought to the board? And I meant to ask the same question for the previous one for outreach committee. I don't remember a budget committee being held on either one of these. It could be just my Alzheimer's happening. Thank you.
We have board comment from Michael. Go ahead.
I first want to just thank the youth committee and everybody who's participating on the youth committee. Seeing young folks take an interest in the community, in the way it looks, in the way it interacts, in our how we relate to the physical space. Just brilliant, just brilliant. I mean, our hats off to you. I'm 53 years old. I wish I had your energy when I was your age, and so congratulations, and we all owe you a debt of thanks. I would suggest anybody who's opposing helping a youth committee go out and actually do something to improve our area. Might want to take stock in themselves, because this seems like one of the greatest things I've heard in a long time come through here. So I'm fully in support of it. And I tip my hat to you guys, and we will figure out how to make it work with the city. I'm sure Richard is more than happy to point you in the direction to make sure nothing gets ripped out, nothing gets hurt, and your vision is fulfilled at the same time. I think there's a way to work around all these problems. And I wish you the best of luck with it. And thank you again from all of us to you. Thank you.
Lana, go ahead.
Hi. So again, budget chair perspective, just wanted to let y'all know that I did exchange emails with JJ, and we did have a plan for him to come to the budget committee and present his proposal to us. And that committee meeting was not able to take place before this month's board meeting to get this on the agenda. So it was brought by our board member Nancy Kramer as the sponsor for the youth committee. And I commend JJ and his team on a thorough presentation. I just had a few questions as to the scheduling of when these items might take place. Because that has a lot to do with getting the payment in before the end of the year. Again, budget chair working with the treasurer to make sure these things are done. And then the landscaper that you had chatted with, is that by chance a Studio City landscaper or someone close to the area? We would like to do our best to support our Studio City folks. But as everyone on this board, I hope, has in their great intention of creating a great foundation of success for our youth committee, I just wanted to make sure that we help them understand this process and the resources and who to contact. For example, the Studio City Beautification Committee, JJ, can probably answer a lot of questions for you and give you lots of names and contact numbers at the city that'll save you a lot of time and help make your mission more efficient in its completion. So I just encourage you to reach out to Richard Adams and Barry Johnson and the Studio City Beautification Committee. They have a great website and great folks that help run that committee as well, that can assist you with all these other tidbits and things that have come up tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Lana. Brian Carroll, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to welcome the youth committee. I think it's great. Been following that one for a long time too, so glad to see it finally here. You put together a solid presentation. I'm sure you've done your research. I'm sure you know how hard this is going to be and all the places you have to check. But you also know that there's a lot of people here who know the ins and outs of this and ready and willing to help. So I think this is great. I think it's solid. Please don't get overwhelmed with all the technicals yet. Let that come later. But for now, hit the ground while there. I'm mixing metaphors, but strike while the iron's hot, hit the ground running, and I support it.
Yeah, the nice part, JJ, is that even some of the rancor you've seen between board members, I think that everyone will be united in helping you and your committee and getting this done. Again, thank you for taking the time and volunteering for this. I echo Michael's sentiment. I certainly don't think when I was your age I was looking how I could spend a few hours on Zoom, although that didn't exist, but that's a different story. But listening to a city meeting. With that, if we can please put this to a vote. Alexa, please go right ahead.
Okay. Motion 10A. Richard?
He's coming. He's on his way to being unmuted.
Hi. Yes.
Brian?
Here we go.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I would respectfully ask that this be tabled till next month.
Hold on.
I will be. I understand. I didn't get a chance to get in before you started the vote because technology, but I would be happy to meet with Mr. JJ wherever he was convenient with him. However,
he drinks
and okay, I don't even know if anybody can hear me, and I don't even hear anything going on.
Go ahead. So you're Richard Adams. You're making a motion to table this. Does anyone second the
I'm
motion?
making a motion to table it so that we make it better. We will still be within the budget constraints, and JJ and the rest of his committee can get what they want.
I hear. No, I hear.
As Ms. Lana pointed out.
Oh, great. So there's
Yeah,
a
I
motion.
totally support the idea, but I want to be inside the city constraints so the people downtown don't go now, because that's what they love to do.
Sure. So there's currently a motion on the table from Board Member Richard Adams to table this motion. Is there a second to table this motion?
Oh, gosh, I guess I'll have to step up and second it so we can vote on that, right?
Okay. You
Since
don't
I'm the
have
budget
to.
person, I don't have to, but
That's up to you.
being the budget person, I feel that it would be prudent to help this youth committee get their contacts in order and get a schedule and put it on a more solid path.
Thank you, Miss Lana.
Sure.
Okay, let's JJ, there's a table second, so we will now vote. Alexa, let's call the roll on the motion to table agenda item 10A.
Richard?
Yes.
Brian?
Oh, sorry. Brian says no, but I will. We'll make sure he's on. He wants to.
Don't they want me to unmute? Okay, here we go.
You're unmuted.
You're unmuted, is Vicky. So keep going. Okay, so Alexa, keep going.
Yeah. Michael?
No.
Randy?
No.
Alex?
No.
Lisa?
No.
Richard?
No.
Jesse?
No.
Rick?
No.
Lana? Lana?
Oh, I didn't hear. I just heard the. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole name. I'm sorry. Okay, yes to table. I'm sorry. Y'all make it difficult being the budget person. I'm just saying. It's not a popular job. But anyway, okay. But I am in favor of it, and the money's still going to be there no matter what.
Alexa, no. And Adam?
No. And also, Randy is Richard Adams continues to amend once we start a vote. What's the procedural rules on that? Like
you see it. I mean, I'm happy to talk about that offline. It seems like he's having technical issues, it would seem, tonight. So But yes, normally once the vote has started, the ship has sailed. Ordinarily, Brian, I'm happy you can either thumbs up or thumbs down if I'm correct. But normally, once the vote has started, you would hit the vote. But at the same time, he's a board member, and he has a right to have his voice heard on the matter. Especially we hadn't really started the vote; he was that first vote in. My preference is always to allow people the opportunity to speak. I think that's
speak? The motion to table fails.
Motion to table has failed. JJ, congratulations. Welcome to bureaucracy.
That wasn't the vote.
But that's not the vote. We still have to take the vote.
I'll calm down. The motion to table has failed. So I'm just saying now we get to actually vote on it. But yes, I'm just congratulating you. They passed a surprise hurdle. So, okay, going on now to actually vote for agenda item 10A. Alexa, please call the roll.
Richard Adams.
1 second, he was muted. Let's see.
We should turn this into a drinking game every time somebody says unmuted.
I'll try again. He seems to not respond. Let's try again.
We'd be sloshed by the end of the meeting.
Go ahead, Richard Adams.
Okay, am I here?
You are here.
I vote yes.
Brian?
Sorry, just quick point of order. If this was brought by Nancy, it technically needs a second, so I'll second it just for process.
Fair point. Thank you.
Okay, Michael?
Yes.
Randy?
Hell yes.
Yes.
Alex?
Sorry, Alex, you're muted. Go ahead. He thumbs up. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I assume JJ gets to vote on his own on this motion too, right?
It's a financial matter, so actually no.
Oh, so no. Okay. Lisa?
Yes.
Richard?
Niederberg. Richard?
Hello?
Hi, Richard.
Okay. I like the idea, but I'm concerned with the actual word because it's so uncertain as to the amount of money going where. I think it's going to be thrown out by the city clerk. Can we just tighten the language and still pass it? Because a lot of times it says probably this or to see. I think we got to fix that. I wish you could do that, please.
So we're voting. So is that, so then given that it's not meeting how you would be comfortable with, is that a no, Richard?
I would like basically for somebody just to fix the wordage to get rid of the ones that are indefinite. And I don't care who does it. I don't care what words they use, as long as they do something basically so it won't get shot down. Because if you read it basically, it's very indefinite. The money may be spent here or may be spent there. Commit to something or other so we can get this through and pass it on its way.
So,
was that a no?
I think that's a no. We're in the middle of voting. So I hear you, Richard. I appreciate it, but we're in the middle of voting. So your point is noted, but is that a yes or a no? Respectfully, if you give me your vote.
Yes, but I think it's really shot down. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that.
Jesse?
Did I say I'm muted again? Jesse, go ahead.
Does that mean I have to drink? Yes.
Yes. Rick?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Alexa, yes. And Adam?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Moving right along.
Really?
To our land use committee, Lisa Karajian, go ahead, and I will, while you start talking, I will queue up Heather.
Construction has begun on this project. while having this meeting. I'm kidding. It's just a joke. Hi, everyone. Okay, so for my motion, the board,
Go ahead, Lisa.
board,
Sorry.
it's okay. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports the conditional use permit ZA-201-647-SPP-SPPA-CUB to allow the sale of a full line of alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption in conjunction with the construction of a new 38,657 square foot podium style building and the operation of a 37,079 square foot market and 1,578 square foot of ground floor retail space located at 11265-11325 Ventura Boulevard, Studio City, California, 91604. We support with the following conditions. The project permit adjustment to allow for a 14% increase in the 1,150 square foot allowable wall sign area. Can everyone mute, please, so that my motion is heard? I would really appreciate it. With the suggested hours of 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., the reconfiguration of the existing surface parking lot with site access from 2 different driveways, to support, to maintain, and consider significant upgrades to the existing 6,250 square foot commercial building to match the aesthetic look of the newly constructed podium building. Request a full investigation and study from DOT, Department of Transportation, and consider its findings for the intersection driveway at Eureka Drive and Ventura Boulevard to include designated crosswalks and streetlights. The support to waive the 5-foot dedication. And I'd like to make a friendly amendment to strike the following sentence, but maintain the required improvements along Ventura Boulevard to beautify and make accessible the path along the river. So I would like to start out by just sharing some thoughts and what committee notes I have. So the applicant is PCG Studio City Village, an LLC, who is Paragon Commercial Group. They are looking to demolish, this is on Ventura Boulevard at Eureka Drive. So for some who can't place it, the Sugarfish restaurant is right across the street from this shopping center. So the applicant is looking to demolish the existing close to about 28,000 square foot commercial building that is currently there, sitting almost empty. To the east of this building sits a Verizon store, UPS store, 2 small restaurants. One is Ohana, 8.5 ounce pokey, and State Farm Insurance within the space of 6,250 square feet. They'd like to construct a podium style building that is the supermarket at 37,079 square feet, which will be a grocery store, a market. So meaning that the building supermarket sits up top, ground floor parking. The ground floor of this building will have retail space of 1,578 square feet. That is what was presented to us as 3 500 square foot retail shops that will be facing Ventura Boulevard. So on the ground level of the podium building. And it's 1,578 square feet. It could be 3 stores. That's what was presented. It could be 1 large store, or it could be 2. They are in full compliance with the Ventura Cahuenga Boulevard Corridor Specific Plan. Unfortunately, the applicant's representatives have signed an NDA and will not disclose who the market is that will be coming into our neighborhood. But they do say that it is a nationally recognized market. The market will be accessed with elevators at the southeast corner of the building or escalators along the eastern edge of the building that will lead customers from the ground floor parking lot that will be located within the building itself. So the ground floor surface parking lot will comprise of 146 parking spaces with several spaces, like I explained, underneath the podium. Some of the parking spaces will be butting up against the 3 retail storefronts that will be facing Ventura Boulevard. There will be 2 driveways for this property. The main one that is already there, that exists in the intersection at Eureka and Ventura, will be full access, while the driveway on the east, where the Verizon store is, will be right in off Ventura Boulevard when you're heading west and right out. So there will be a loading dock located behind the building to the north portion of the property, up against the river. It will be covered from view from the river and the apartment buildings across the way, or the homes rather. The property is located within the Rio zone. There will be a walkway, a ramp, or stairwell connecting the rear of the property, which is on the north side to the river. They will be required to incorporate the river and comply with the guidelines of the River Improvement Overlay. The applicant is also seeking for 3 new wall signs, 1 for each tenant along Ventura Boulevard, 1 sign on the east side of the podium building that will face the parking lot, and 5 new wall signs for each tenant in the existing 6,250 square foot building. They would also like to reface the existing 22-foot high pole sign. Within committee, there were questions and concerns discussed in regard to the look of the building being too boxy, too modern. So we asked the representatives who are Rosenheim and Associates to pass along the message and consider softening up the look of the building by adding in some natural elements of wood, some colors, textures. They were very open to taking our recommendations. Very easy to work with within committee. We also requested for there be a major consideration given to the number of trees removed and make sure plenty of trees are replanted. There will be bicycle parking. There will be tables and chairs placed on the Ventura side along Ventura Boulevard for people to have a place to sit with their lunch, tables and chairs and umbrellas, and there will be sufficient security. So that concludes my little presentation. So if we could go ahead and strike that 1 sentence, Randy, and I do want to make a point to state that Heather Waldstein with Rosenheim and Associates is present. Should there be any questions that I won't be able to answer. And also, just to be clear and transparent, the application does state for this market to stay open from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. But we did take a vote, and it did pass with the 6 a.m. to midnight recommendation that we made. So, Randy.
Great, thank you. Also, just want to, because this, as Lisa, thank you so much, was very thorough, not only in the motion, but also explaining all of the notes from a very detailed committee meeting on this and a thorough presentation. There were elements of this motion that were, because there were so many moving pieces that were arranged after the committee meeting. So this motion, as a point of order, is being brought forward by Lisa. I will happily second it. But it's a big thank you to the land use committee in really kind of digging in with lots of questions to the developer, as well as not just rubber stamping it and really taking time to hear their answers to their questions and coming up with follow-up questions. So a lot of credit to our land use committee on this. With that, I do want to open it up now to public comment. So public comment is now open on agenda item 11A. Please raise your hand now for public comment. I see a few hands. I am just pulling up my timer here. We will start off with Scott Mundell. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President, and may it please the board. I listened in on the Land Use Committee, and I agree they were very, very thorough. It's great to see a brand new development, supermarket and such, come to that area of Studio City. It's really not the most attractive stretch of Ventura Boulevard. However, I would like to ask the representative from the supermarket to get out of the NDA and let us know the name of the supermarket, which is the anchor. I kind of didn't like hearing, I think it was Lisa that asked the question, when will we find out the name of the supermarket? And I believe the answer was when we're ready to open. That doesn't sit well with me with alcohol permits and all this construction, that we're in the dark, that the board is in the dark as to the name of the grocery store. So I don't know if there's anything you can do other than have the representative go back to the market and just request to be out of the NDA. And I think at this time, they could disclose who they are and not keep it a secret. Otherwise, how do you vote on this? Thank you.
So just to answer, before Heather speaks, may I? Scott, thank you for your question, but they do not have to disclose. It's not a law. It's not mandatory. So they have every right to choose not to disclose. I did discuss this with so many various groups. And unfortunately and sadly, they do not have to disclose the name. But Heather, did you want to say a word?
Can we get, I have sorry to interrupt. Can we just get all of the public comment in first? Sure. And then once all, and just maybe Heather take note if you'd like, or there's things you want to respond to. And then once we've heard all of the public comment, then Lisa, you, her can respond.
Amazing, okay. Thank you.
That's how we're gonna, thank you. So with that, we have our next public comment by Puppet. Go ahead.
And the developer needs to check off the 3 boxes. 3 things you need to get your development approved. Pay off the building inspector, donate to the office holder account, and buy the council member. That's all it is. None of us want this fucking project. Not a single one of us, animal or human. But you know who wants it. Well, a councilman wants it. Yes, and you know there's a vote trading agreement between all 15 criminal council members. What is in your district is your kingdom. You elect kings and queens, royal family members that rule over 224,000 of the denizens of LA. We just sit here and keep taking it and taking it and taking it. And we can't find out who the supermarket is? No. Well, we don't have to give you your permit either, do we? But again, Randy Fraud, Lisa Karjakian, and Kiro Tarosian, the triumvirate of evil and wrongdoing, will shove this project right down the throats and assholes of everybody from Studio City to Cahuenga, all the way over to Tarzana and Encina. Sherman Oaks. And Sherman Oaks. Yes, thank you, sir. So again, let's not digress. We have millions of dollars of entitlements to give away to our campaign donors. It's a great thing, LA, isn't it? Where we actually need 36 council members to represent the same population as 1983, but we don't get it. And everybody just sits around. I don't want to hear bad language. Yes, fuck the project, fuck the LA River, and for once, let's find out which supermarket's going to be. My guess, it's going to be another Gelson's. Yes, or one.
Your time has expired. We have public comment from Erica Fox. Go ahead.
I guess my question is along the lines of Scott. Was it Scott? Also, why don't they want to say what market they are? I mean, we seem to have a lot of supermarkets along Ventura Boulevard. We have Ralph's, Trader Joe's, Vons, Ralph's, it just, there's a lot. And also my other question is about the trees. It sounds like they're taking out trees, even though they're putting back in trees. I don't know what the tree, is this the place where the LA Fitness used to be?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know, I can't remember what the trees are there, but if they're taking them down, are they old? Will they put in trees that are the same size? Or are they going to start off with these little baby trees? Because we keep getting rid of our trees, and I think that that is a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. We have public comment from Barry Johnson. Go ahead. Go ahead, we hear you.
Yeah, there may not be a requirement or law that they disclose who this market is, but there's no law or requirement that you support their permit either. So I suggest you table this tonight and let their representative go back to them and say, they want you to disclose, and they didn't vote on this motion tonight because we want an answer on disclosure. Now, they can say no again, but I think you need to pressure them on this. And there's no requirement for you to pass this tonight, and there's no reason you can't send them back to ask, can we disclose? And I think Michael DeLazar had an excellent point at the land use meeting, and that is, if this is an Amazon stores let anybody who gets something by mail from them return it to their stores. Well, this could have a huge impact on traffic going in and out of that area. So I think the store it is of absolute importance, and we must know who it is. And I see no reason why it cannot be disclosed at this point. They're asking for approval from this board to support their motion right now. Now is the time to come clean. Thank you.
Public comment by Rudy Melendez. Go ahead.
Thank you, Randy. I know it's getting late. I'll make this brief. I think everyone wants to know, who's moving in. And if it is indeed an Amazon store, Amazon, first of all, everybody should resist Amazon. Do they really need another dollar out of your wallet? They're putting businesses out. Amazon is, you gotta buy some sneakers and you can't get them at Foot Locker, okay. But do we really need to buy everything from Amazon? It's just, I don't want to see an Amazon go in there. And what do they have to hide? Why can't they just tell us what their intentions are? Resist Amazon. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Okay, seeing no more hands for public comment on this agenda item, we will go to board comment. Richard Adams, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
We can, yes, go ahead.
Alrighty. In general, this board has never been opposed to granting yet another business with a liquor license in this town because there's been no correlation between the number of liquor licenses and alcohol licenses with the crime. So, and I'm familiar with that property right there because it's next to where I go to see the chiropractor so I can walk. And frankly, I don't see what the problem is. I would disagree with some of these suggestions, but since they don't have the power of the law, why bother? I'm in favor. Thank you.
Okay. We have other hands raised. Rick, please go ahead.
You need to
You gotta-
unmute.
I just wanted to agree with Barry that, you know, that was a nightmarish parking lot when the gym was there. And you might be, you know, setting up if it is an Amazon store, you're setting up a situation where parking is super inadequate.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Michael.
I don't want to say no to this, and I don't, because that space needs to be renovated badly. I think that most would agree that that's something that needs to happen there. It's the great sections of that shopping center right now are falling into disrepair, I think, and it's not attractive, and there are vacancies all over the place. It's a bad area, and I am all for Studio City East, as Lisa calls it, and promoting it and revitalizing it, and the forgotten end, as she calls it, of Ventura Boulevard. But I do think that there's a precedent here for us to want to know who the vendor is. I think that's a fair question, and I don't want to vote no on this, but I'm inclined to vote no on it because of the level of transparency being offered. So what I would do is I'm going to raise a motion to table this and have the vendor come forward, and just if they can't explain why, or if they can't explain or tell us who their name is, then maybe they can explain why they won't tell us who their name is, and at least demand that. So I'm raising a motion to
Michael,
and I'm not even sure I would say no if it's Amazon. I just want to know. I think we have a right to know as a board.
Michael, before you raise to table it, the representative is here. She is present, so she can answer this question. So if we can unmute Heather, that would be great.
Sure,
and just
no
for
problem.
parking purposes, the requirement for parking spaces for this property and this building is a 2 to 1,000 square foot ratio. So they're required to only have 90 parking spaces, and they're providing 146. So let's just make sure that that is understood. But Heather is here. Heather, you've been listening in. Can you please talk about the disclosure of the owners of the market?
Sure. Good evening, and thank you for reviewing this item on the agenda tonight. I also want to point out that our client, the applicant, Paragon Commercial, is also in attendance at this meeting. Hopefully they're still on. And maybe they can speak to the non-disclosure on this project. I'm unable to make any decisions based on the non-disclosure. I cannot provide the market's name And possibly Paragon could speak to that.
So just so everyone is clear, Heather works for Rosenheim and Associates, who is representing Paragon Commercial Group, who is the landlord of the space that will be leasing out the property for the market.
Heather, is Erwin Busey, is that Paragon, I believe? Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay, great.
correct.
So I see a hand up. Erwin, go ahead.
Good evening. Appreciate everybody's time this evening. I just want to give you a little background on Paragon. I've been in the retail development business, specializing in grocery stores for approximately 30 years. And this is a best-in-class national tenant that is going to be a great asset to the community. I do have a contractual agreement with them, and I do have an NDA. I do know that they will be a great addition. And I think this site, as someone mentioned, is in dire need of redevelopment. It's an older site. We bought it from the original owner. It originally had a grocery store on the property. A grocery store isn't allowed use under the existing zoning. And we do great projects. One of our partners is CalPERS, which is the California Public Employee Retirement Systems. And, I'm pleased to be here, but unfortunately I have no ability to make any disclosures to the tenant list. So hopefully that gives you some background.
Can you disclose why you can't say the name, or why the tenant doesn't want their name out there, the anchor store?
Well, I can tell you that I do a lot of work with a lot of different grocery stores, and this is pretty typical for a lot of grocers.
It's not typical of what we get presented at this board. And I think that in the absence of a concrete answer, like they don't want their name out there because whatever the reason is, I would go forward with the motion to table this, and the constituents that have all spoken up here are all saying that they want to know who it is, and we're not biased against anybody. We just want to know what the project is. And I saw your presentation. I was at the land use meeting. I respect that it looks like a beautiful design. It's a workable design, but I just think that we need to stand up for our citizens who want to know the name of the vendor. So I would motion to table this for a month and see if they'll come back. And
So there's a motion but Lisa, hold on. There's a motion on the table now to table this. There's a second from Brian Carroll. So Alexa, please, we will now read the roll for a motion to table in order to allow this landlord, I imagine, to go back to their client and see if they're willing to break their NDA for the purposes of moving this forward. So go ahead, Alexa.
Okay, Richard?
Oh, there I am. Yes, I vote table this. The arguments in favor are very well spoken.
Brian?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Lisa?
I abstain.
Richard? Richard Niederberg?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Jesse?
Oh, Jesse had to leave, so he's no longer present.
Rick?
Yes.
Lana? Lana?
No.
Alexa? Yes. Adam?
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
Thank you very much. This motion has now been tabled. I appreciate your time to the Land Use Committee for going through this, and to Erwin and Heather staying on the line to the late evening to discuss this. I hope, I guess you've heard the wants of the community members and this board, that hopefully you'll be able to reconsider, or your tenant will be able to reconsider the NDA and disclose who they are and their interest in coming to the community. With that, moving on to agenda item number 12. This was a agenda item that was brought forward by, sent to me by Richard Adams. So take it away, Richard. Richard? He just muted himself. Richard?
Well, we'd be willing to do that again when it comes to liquor license.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right. This is a motion that was actually, I brought it because numerous people in the neighborhood pushed it on Nextdoor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And even though I'm temporarily blocked on Nextdoor for like the last year, it came to my attention. My next door neighbor has lived here for several decades, shall we say. The Park Motel has been an ongoing problem. The cops are there, the fire department's there, paramedics. The parole teams come in. It is ongoing. It is endless. There have been raids that were publicized in the news for human trafficking, for drug trafficking. My personal partner was actually involved in instigating a raid for heroin when somebody who bought heroin at the Park Motel OD'd in front of our neighbor's house, and Engine 78 came up. We had the city attorney here, the neighbor prosecutor came up and gave all sorts of wonderful words. There has been no indication of any progress. There's been no indication of additional enforcement. I see people drive in with pickup trucks that are pool maintenance people with the handles, chemicals, and everything. The Park Motel doesn't have motel. It doesn't have a pool. It's an ongoing scene of crime, and something needs to be done. It needs to be done at all levels to at least address it. The property owners have a right to have their property, but they need to have the property in line with laws. They can't be running a criminal enterprise. And that's what this motion is in line of. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion that's being presented says the board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council requests the Councilman Krikorian and his staff organize the creation of a multi-agency task force from the appropriate city, county, state, and federal agencies to address and resolve the decades-old problems with the Park Motel located at 12963 Ventura in Studio City, brought forward by Richard Adams. Is there a second to Richard Adams' motion?
I second it.
Seconded by Richard Niederberg. We will go to public comment. Please, we see public comment by Puppet. Go ahead.
Yes, and we're not going to table this one now. That's right. So today, this evening, is that right, sir? Yes, it's still this evening. Yes. So, we defeated the evil of Lisa Karjakian, and now we transition to the evil of hotel owners. that like to run drug enterprises and other criminal enterprises. That's the function of hotels. According to Jose Huizar in his affidavit, that's where he would go into a bathroom at a hotel casino and drop $10,000 in his shorts every time, along with Mr. Englander. What do you do in a hotel? Most people don't lodge anymore. They bring their prostitute girlfriends in there, and they engage in payoffs, and they sell drugs. These are the only three uses of hotels in the city of Los Angeles at the current rate. So, a friendly amendment, we move to close all hotels down and make them prove to us that they're not hubs for payoffs, drugs, prostitutes, oh, and like O.J. Simpson. Oh, yes, and centers of blackmail. Yes, that's right. We will call it the anti-Sarkin-Karjackian motion, yes. Adding more properties and hotels to it. Let the revolution begin, people. This is a new day for the Studio City NC. Taking back our community, hopefully we will bring up charges against Paul Martin Krikorian and his evil dwarf, Mr. What's his name? The one that run for CD7. Yes, imagine having a chief of staff running for another council district and finishing ninth. Yeah.
Your time has expired. We have public comment by Brandon Marino. Go ahead.
Yeah, I live about a block from the motel, and it is a problem. It is an ongoing problem. It has been for some time. I've seen the family before who lives there and runs it. They seem nice. But over the past few years, there have been meeting after meeting after meeting about this and attempted resolution to solving the problem, and nothing ever seems to get done. So maybe it is time to take it to another level and really clamp down hard, because from where I've lived in this area for 24 years, and enough is enough. I'm okay with people running businesses, and sometimes things go wrong, but too many things have gone wrong too many times at the Park Motel for it just to be a coincidence from time to time. It's an epidemic, and there really does need to be a clamp down. So it would be great if this board could vote on that to take it to the next level. That's all.
Great, thank you, Brandon. Moving right along. Public comment is closed. Seeing no more hands, we'll go to board comment. Brian Carroll, go ahead.
Yeah, I share in the concerns with the Park Motel as well. My concern, though, is that this is a very vaguely worded motion that I think is going to get kind of laughed out of the room once we present it to Krikorian. It calls for every layer and jurisdiction of government to solve ambiguous problems. I think that this needs to be tabled, brought back to a committee, any committee, just to figure out some sort of call to action that can be actionable by who we're presenting it to. So I move the table.
Great. Is there a second to table this motion? Seeing no hands or hearing no voices to table this motion, I will second the motion, actually. So let's bring the motion to a vote. A motion to table 12A. Alexa, take it away. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, motion to table 12. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Richard? Richard, you want to table this?
I do.
Okay.
That was Niederberg, but
Oh.
here we go. Go ahead, Richard.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, Richard Adams.
Not only vote not to table this, but
the vote is to table it. So are you tabling
okay,
it?
fine. I vote no to table.
No. Okay. Brian,
Yes, the table.
Michael,
Yeah. Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Alex, Alex,
Yes, definitely.
Lisa.
Yes, but just so everybody knows that in February, this went to the deputy city attorney of the neighborhood prosecutor program in the Van Nuys division. So it has been escalated quite high thus far because I had it on my agenda back in February. So yes, table it.
Richard.
Table it.
Josie is absent. Rick.
Abstain.
Lana.
I think we should go ahead and vote on it tonight, up or down, but if y'all all agree, I'll table it too. We'll just wait and push it with everything else.
Alexa, yes. And Adam.
Yes.
Motion to table passes. Great, thank you very much. That concludes our agenda. Friendly reminder, of course, we are within an election, so I hope everyone is telling all their neighbors to register to vote by mail and, of course, to vote. On May 11th. With that, I wish everyone for the rest of what's left of our evening, have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.